Yeah, in the human world, the number of people killed by humans is no less than the amount of people killed by beasts. It's almost the same no matter where they go. Chen Xiang laughed. Big brother crocodile, how many Xin Yuan stone can you earn in a day? Yeah, in the human world, the number of people killed by humans is no less than the amount of people killed by beasts. It's almost the same no matter where they go. Chen Xiang laughed. Big brother crocodile, how many Xin Yuan stone can you earn in a day? I made at most 500,000 Xin Yuan stone a day. I was just running around and occasionally shouting. It was very easy, much happier than fighting and killing outside. The white crocodile laughed. These Xin Yuan stone were all condensed out of very pure mysterious power. They could also be quickly absorbed by beasts and then refined for cultivation. Big brother crocodile, are you free to enter the main hall? Chen Xiang looked at the palace in front of him that was surrounded by tall walls. You are not allowed to enter as you wish, unless someone from inside leads you in. The white crocodile said, Human child, just take a look. If you barge in randomly, you will die. Chen Xiang had already seen that many of the beasts that were flying in the sky would avoid this enormous palace that was in the center and would not even come close. This was the Beast Divine Palace of the Beast God Mountain. It was said that there was a powerful All-Beast Divine Lord hidden within. Big brother crocodile, is All-Beast Divine Lord really inside? Chen Xiang asked. He had heard the conversation of the people on the road and knew of the existence of the All-Beast Divine Lord. Of course he's inside, otherwise our 10,000 Beast Mountain would have been pushed down a long time ago. Although the All-Beast Divine Lord did not show himself, and even said that he would always be sleeping under this mountain, his divine might will never be extinguished. Whenever our Beast God Mountain is in trouble, the Emperor will show his divine might. The white crocodile said. They had already reached the city wall's entrance. Chen Xiang got down from the white crocodile's back and looked at the open city gate. Inside, there were two very large silver lioness walking out, and behind the two silver lioness, there was even a large carriage. The carriage was as big as a house. Seeing the two silver lioness, the white crocodile quickly moved out of the way. How impressive! Chen Xiang said softly. The aura of the two silver lion were very terrifying. The moment they walked past him, they pressured him to the point that he almost suffocated. That's right, the one on the carriage is the son of the divine lion race's Lion King. He has special privileges in the Beast God Mountain. The white crocodile looked in the direction of the carriage with envy. Human child, you still don't have a place to go. Do you want to go back to my nest? My place is big and you're too young. It wouldn't take up too much space. Even staying in this hotel would take hundreds of Xin Yuan stone a day. The white crocodile blinked its huge eyes and asked, Big brother crocodile, don't eat me when you're hungry at night. Chen Xiang laughed and said. He was already on the body of the white crocodile. Many humans had ridden on him before, but none had ever chatted with him like Chen Xiang did. Even some of the more benevolent beasts had done, so he treated Chen Xiang very well. Because Chen Xiang frequently came into contact with beasts, he did not conflict with beasts. Back then, the four great divine beasts Qi Hi+, Long Shui, the Ice Dragon, and the others. These were all beasts, and they all had a good relations. Hi+P with him. As long as the beasts didn't hurt him and didn't have any enmity towards him, he could still befriend them. The white crocodile's nest was indeed very big, and it was also open air. It was right next to a lake, far away from the market, and its environment was very good. Chen Xiang leaned against a tree. The small lake was illuminated by the bright starlight, and with a gentle breeze, it sparkled and sparkled, making it look extremely beautiful. The white crocodile was already resting. Chen Xiang was enjoying the beautiful scenery and fell asleep not long later. Early in the morning, Chen Xiang was awakened by this loud roar. The white crocodile also opened its eyes wide and turned to look at the center of the city. It's the howl of the silver lion. Something has happened. Come, let's go take a look. We shouldn't be afraid of anything big just to watch the show. The white crocodile chuckled. Chen Xiang was completely speechless. This white crocodile also had the heaven-ranked spirit beast that humans liked to watch from the sidelines. He jumped onto the white crocodile's back, and in a few blinks of an eye, the white crocodile arrived at a large road, sprinting towards the center of the city. Oh! This time, it was two silver lion roaring together. This was the other special God beast of the great God level. Just the roaring sound itself was already very terrifying. The power from the roar caused many weak beasts to lie prone on the ground. To emit such a commotion, it was as if something major had occurred. Moreover, it was located in the center of the city. On the road, many people and beasts were fleeing in a hurry. Only a small number of the more powerful God transforming beast statue, Chen Xiang and the others were ing over to watch the commotion. When Chen Xiang went back yesterday, he had chatted with the white crocodile about a lot of things. He was very curious about the divine lion race, so he asked around. Of course, only Prince Divine Lions who used these two silver lion to pull the carriage were arrogant. Not long after, they arrived at the side of the entrance to the Great Hall. In front of the entrance to the Divine Hall was a very spacious plaza. They didn't even need to walk to the entrance to see what was happening. Why does this guy look so familiar? Chen Xiang saw a man wearing a white fur coat standing in front of the two silver lion, wielding a huge white blade. The blade in his hand emitted a terrifying white flame, causing the two silver lions to be extremely angry. Isn't this Chi plus? Chen Xiang was extremely shocked in his heart. Chi plus was different from how he was in the past. He used to look like a sloppy boy, but now Chi plus's clothes were very clean and decent. His hair was combed neatly, and his handsome face was full of seriousness. It was precisely because of this that Chen Xiang was unable to recognize him instantly. In the past, when Chi plus did not care about appearance, he would wear shoes with one foot and not even one shoe on the other. His hair was messy like a chicken nest, and there were even times when he was so wretched. However, the Chi plus in front of him looked to be like a jade tree swaying in the wind, giving off a very imposing aura. Right now, even Chen Xiang suspected that this fellow was not Chi plus, the legendary 10 Heavens Supreme Lord, but someone else instead, because he didn't seem like him at all. Go away, don't block the way. A silver lion roared with a voice as loud as thunder. Although it was it was filled with power. It was obvious that he had been standing here for a period of time. What was strange was that there was no movement from inside the shrine, and it did not seem to care about such a big matter. The Prince Divine Lions who was sitting in the carriage did not come out either, and had the two silver lions face off against Chi plus. Chi plus just stood there with his blade held horizontally, without saying a word. It was obvious that he was waiting for the Prince Divine Lions inside the carriage to come out, and because they were at the entrance of the shrine, the two silver lions did not dare to attack. They roared a few times, and did not dare to roar anymore. Chen Xiang really wanted to go over and ask that person if he was Chi plus, but he didn't. He didn't, and if he randomly went over without figuring out the situation, then it might disrupt Chi plus's plans. Chen Xiang really wanted to go over and ask that person if he was Chi plus, but he didn't. He didn't, and if he randomly went over without figuring out the situation, then it might disrupt Chi plus's plans. Chi plus was also a powerful divine beast in the Beast Divine Palace back then, so he should have died before being reborn. If he were to regain his former memories and regain his former strength, it wouldn't be weird. Chen Xiang saw with his own eyes the changes in Long Xue's memories that year, and it gave him a fright. Who are you? Why are you blocking my way? The voice came from the carriage that looked like a house. It was a very gentle male voice. Although it was gentle, it carried the might of a king. The power within it made one feel an indescribable pressure. Answer me, did you kill a fiery divine lion 3 years ago? Chi's voice was cold and filled with anger. His killing intent was leaking out bit by bit, and it seemed like the anger in his heart was preventing him from retracting his aura. Heaven-earth killing method, this killing intent belongs to Chi's. Chen Xiang's heart became even more certain that the person in question was really Chi's. To think that he would actually come to Super God realm as well. From Chi's words, Chen Xiang had already guessed a few things. For some unknown reason, a wave of sorrow rose up in his heart. Chen Xiang had interacted with the Super Old Fire Beast many times and received favors from the Super Old Fire Beast before. In his eyes, the Super Old Fire Beast was just a strict elder, yet it was killed right now. He finally understood why Chi's was so angry, because he was also furious in his heart. I killed him. His divine soul is still here. If you want me to give it to you, you might even be able to revive him. Prince Divine Lion's voice was very calm, like before, his tone was very gentle. The moment he said that, a ball of light flew out Ning with a fiery light. Chi's immediately extended his hand and grabbed the pearl. What was inside was the divine soul of the Super Old Fire Beast, the brother who had risked his life to kill. The Prince Divine Lions unexpectedly did not think killing the Super Old Fire Beast was a big deal, as his voice sounded again. You can get out of the way now, right? Chi's anger had already completely erupted. The pure white fur clothing he was wearing was covered with a black killing intent, the white blade in his hand had turned black. Is this guy crazy? Should we start fighting in the 10,000 Beast Square? The white crocodile said in shock and quickly retreated. Ice him up or he'll cause trouble. Prince Divine Lion said softly, only to see a silver lion spitting out a white light from its mouth, which instantly struck Chi's body and sealed him. In that instant, all the killing intent on Chi's body disappeared. It seemed like the difference in strength between Chi's and the two Silver Lion was too huge. The consequence of blocking our path, and not only that, he even prepared to attack us. This is his end. As the Divine Lion spoke, Chi's who was frozen by ice suddenly flew up and smashed towards the distance. If it fell on the ground, Chi's would shatter. Chen Xiang was very clear on how terrifying the icy cold power that gushed out of the Silver Lion was. Chen Xiang groaned and used a teleportation technique to teleport Chi's who had leaped into the air, to his side. He then used a spatial splitting technique to separate the frozen ice and Chi's Yes. The Prince Divine Lions let out a faint sigh. Senior. Chen Xiang immediately channeled the Creator's fire into Chi's body. Chi's who had been unconscious, quickly regained consciousness, but he was severely injured. Chen Xiang used his mind to probe, and immediately discovered that the internal organs of Chi's body had been severely injured. The Beast Divine Palace made a rule that if he wants to kill us, we can kill him. Let him die. The Prince Divine Lion said. A silver lion had already looked over. Its eyes shot out a silver light that flew towards Chen Xiang. You want to kill me? The white crocodile roared. It opened its mouth and spat out a white light, directly attacking back. If you want to kill me, I can also kill you. The white crocodile roared in anger. Even though he was usually shouting and shouting on the streets, his soar was still very terrifying. Chen Xiang never thought that White Crocodile would be so strong. He felt extremely guilty, causing trouble for the White Crocodile. Let's stop here. If there is a grudge, settle it 10,000 li away from the mountain. From inside the shrine came a calm and aged voice. The gigantic silver lion that was about to attack suddenly trembled and retracted its head. Had become very strong, but he was still not too powerful. It was already considered fortunate that he was still alive. Chen Xiang was also very angry in his heart. The two silver lioness had already pulled the huge carriage through the gate. "Oh, White, right, I've troubled you," Chen Xiang said as he jumped down from the White Crocodile's back, carrying the incomparably weak Chi-S. Hi+. "Don't go to my place. I don't like that guy either. It's safer for you to follow me now," the White Crocodile said. "In any case, I've already gotten into trouble, so I'm not afraid to go any further. Quickly come up." Just like this, the White Crocodile carried Chen Xiang and the others and quickly returned to his lakeside nest. Chen Xiang healed Chi-S. Hi+ and dispelled the cold energy in his body. Circulating his alive slain method, he released a type of regeneration ability that entered Chi-S. Hi+'s body. He even ate a small chunk of the divine lotus root for him, after being busy for half a day, although Chi-S. Hi+ looked much more spirited. His divine soul and body still suffered heavy injuries. I almost died just like that. I was too impulsive, and my experience is quite rich as well. I should have been a calm person and almost died here. Chi-S. Hi+ looked at Chen Xiang with a grateful expression. He did not need to thank him because he knew Chen Xiang would feel his gratitude at the moment. "You little brat, I didn't think I would meet you in this sort of place." Chi-S. Hi+ smiled. "Brother Crocodile, thank you for helping us out." The White Crocodile laughed. "You don't need to be courteous, that guy also wants to kill me. Although I am afraid of the divine lion race, but I do not place these two fellows in my eyes." Chi-S. Hi+ suddenly sighed. "Of divine lion race is actually so virtuous. If I had the strength from back then, even if this brat's father came, I would still be able to make him kneel down." Chen Xiang was shocked in his heart. "Big brother Chi, you are also from divine lion race." The White Crocodile had also seen some things from Chi-S. Hi+'s aura before, especially that kind of aura. Even the two silver lion that were much stronger than Chi-S. Hi+ were intimidated by her. "Of course, if I hadn't died back then, I would be King Leonis now, and Chi Yen and I would both be princes of the divine lion race then." After Chi-S. Hi+ finished speaking, he lamented and took out the divine soul of the super old fire beast. The super old fire beast should be the Chi Yen he mentioned. This was his true brother, someone who was related by blood. Only after he had regained his memories did he know that the few princes of divine lion race must have had another dispute back then, which was why such a thing would happen now. Chi-S.H.I+'s background was actually so huge, and he possessed the divine lion race's royal bloodline. It was no wonder that he was able to become the emperor of the 9 heaven world back then. Chi-S. Hi+'s background was actually so huge, and he possessed the divine lion race's royal bloodline. It was no wonder that he was able to become the emperor of the 9 heaven world back then. The White Crocodile said in surprise. "So that means you are one of the 7 sons of the Lion King. What place are you at?" "I'm the boss." Chi-S. Hi+ looked at the pearl which was used to seal the divine soul of the super old fire beast in his hand and continued to speak. "Chi Yen is number 7, he is the youngest, and we are both the same mother. The others both have their own mothers, so we have a very good relations." Hi+P. Seeing Chi-S. Hi+'s face filled with grief, Chen Xiang patted his shoulder. His divine soul is still there, we can revive him. Chi sighed. The 9 divine kings that resurrected us, but now, even the whereabouts of the 9 divine kings is unknown, we do not have that ability. The white crocodile had some understanding of what happened that year and said, back then, during the fierce battle at the Divine Beast Mountain, countless outstanding divine beasts were lost. If not for 9 divine kings Hi+ing over in time, more would have died. Hi+ looked at the white crocodile and asked, Old Bai, you have lived for so long, can't you change into the human form? Your entire body is white, and from your beast profound energy, you should be considered a different person. Cough cough. The white crocodile laughed. I can change my form, but the moment I transform my form, I will lose some of the privileges special G.O.D. beast has here. In any case, I have been like this for so many years, I am already used to it. I was still a little crocodile during the great battle of the beast God realm. I heard these rumors while I was in the river. I didn't expect so many years to have Pa-s said in the blink of an eye. I even saw the seniors who partook. 1p. aided in the Great War back then. All those years ago, when they were fighting, they, the little ghosts, would listen to stories all day, which was why they had a lot of respect and admiration for people like Chi+. Chi+. Laid down, put his head on his arms, raised his head and looked at the sky that he was once very familiar with, and let out a long and sorrowful sigh. Chen Xiang said, Big Brother Chi, the injuries on your body are still very serious. Don't act recklessly during this period, I will think of a way to help you recover. When Chen Xiang was healing Chi+, he had a clear understanding of how serious the injuries on his body were. Especially the injuries on his divine soul, they couldn't be healed in a day or two. Chi+'s body was very strong. Although his divine soul had already awakened the memories from that year, his divine soul was still very weak. After all, he had already been reborn twice. I cannot despair. Back then, I could exterminate a group of people with a lift of my hand. I absolutely cannot allow myself to lose my confidence like this. Chi+'s eyes suddenly became resolute, causing him to heave a sigh of relief. He was afraid that Chi+' would lose his will to fight. The white crocodile said, For an injury like Big Brother Chi, only magical pills can help him recuperate. There are many of these things only in human territory, and magical pills in this kind of place are poor and expensive. Chen Xiang was an alchemist, and the white crocodile was right. Chi+'s injuries could only be cured quickly and thoroughly by using a divine pellet, but a high-level divine pellet was required. Even if it was a Zhongping Dan, they would need many of them. Old White, can you bring me to a place? That place is very dangerous. With Chen Xiang's current strength, there's no way you can bring me there safely. Chi+' looked at the white crocodile with a pleading look. He could tell that it was very important to him to go to that place. The white crocodile said, No problem, anyway I'm very free here every day, it's time to go out for a walk. Chen Xiang asked, Big Brother Chi, what is that place? Chi+' did not say, nor did the white crocodile ask. After the white crocodile agreed, Chi+' jumped onto his back. Brat, you'll be very safe here. No one will dare to respond to you on the beast God mountain. The white crocodile laughed and then left with Chi+'. Chen Xiang was stunned. He said he would leave and then Chi+'s injuries had not recovered by much. He thought that Chi+'s and the white crocodile might have secretly sent a sound transmission to him before. He suspected that the white crocodile also wanted to go to that place. This guy, where is he going? Why didn't he tell me? Chen Xiang cursed as he sat by the lake. They should be heading to the Lion Emperor's mausoleum. the tomb of the divine Lion Emperor. A clear and sweet girl's voice was heard. Although the voice sounded young and tender, it carried a sense of maturity. When Chen Xiang heard this voice, he immediately knew who it was. "You cat." Chen Xiang turned his head and saw a white kitten flapping its wings and flying towards him. This caused Chen Xiang to be extremely happy, because he had always been looking for Yue. He knew that Yue was inside the Divine Palace, but not everyone could enter the Divine Palace. I didn't expect to see you so soon." Yue flew over and landed on Chen Xiang's shoulder, but Chen Xiang grabbed her off and caressed her cute little head while smiling, causing Yue to meow. "Why did you come here?" "I was thinking of a way to sneak into the shrine to find you." Chen Xiang laughed and rubbed her tail, causing her to grunt and fly out of his embrace to sit on his head. "I grew up here, so I'm very familiar with this place. After knowing that you left with old Bai, I immediately rushed over, but fortunately, I was able to make it in time to see the first prince. Although he was much weaker, his personality was still the same as before." Yue said, "You little thing. You are indeed an old monster that has lived for many years." Chen Xiang laughed. "Right, what kind of place is the Lion Emperor's tomb that you mentioned just now? Why do they have to hide it from me and not let me know?" Yue said, "The Lion King is an ancestor of the divine lion race. He was once a beast race divine lord, and when he died, he was buried in that place, and that place was not some extraordinary place, it was just a large mountain, although there was no construction there, but a very terrifying natural formation there. When humans entered, it immediately turned into ashes, and before that, human God kings died in there. It is said that the moment they stepped into that natural formation, they turned into ashes." Chen Xiang now understood that Chi plus understood him very well. That was why he did not tell him what kind of place that was. So powerful. Chen Xiang took a deep breath. He actually had the thought of wanting to try. Rumor has it that before the Lion Emperor died, he exploded with hatred for humanity. After touching the natural way, a powerful formation formed naturally to protect his body and prevent him from being Hara, as said by humans. Although Yue was a little girl, she knew a lot of things. Chen Xiang pulled her off his back, hugged her and caressed her skin. Then, he asked, "Then why did Hi plus go to that place for?" Yue meowed, "Of course, we are going to look for the Lion King's inheritance. I have looked for it there before, but I couldn't find it. If it was the first prince, then it would be very possible. That's why old Bai agreed to go with him, because he wants to witness the birth of the new Lion King." Chen Xiang took out a command medallion, which was the detailed content of the order he received. He said it over to Yue and said, "I've received a job. I need to go into a mountain range to find a type of stone. I'll just need to find one." Yue checked the contents of the jade token and let out a soft cry. She didn't say anything, only her eyes flashed. I plus ing with a white light. Yue checked the contents of the jade token and let out a soft cry. She didn't say anything, only her eyes flashed. Hi plus ing with a white light. Chen Xiang asked a few times but she did not answer, so she could only wait patiently. After a full hour had passed, Yue slowly said, "This place is very dangerous." "I know, that's why I came to find you. You should be familiar with that place." Chen Xiang was mentally prepared, because seeing Yue's current reaction, he knew that it was much more terrifying than he had imagined. If Yue wasn't willing to go, he wouldn't have barged in himself. Yue replied, "I'm not familiar with it either, but I can give it a try." "That's right, do you know what use those stones have?" Chen Xiang saw that kind of stone on the jade tablet, but he did not know what it was used for, and the details of the mission token were not explained either. He shook his head. "I'm not sure, but the person looking for this stone is very strong in the Supreme Divine Palace. It's said that he almost died inside." Yue nodded. "The one looking for Hi+2 should be the descendant of the Herculean God tribe. He is the chief hall master of the Soul Hall. Yue was even clear about this. Chen Xiang was secretly shocked. The origin of this kitten made him more and more curious. Is there any use for it? Chen Xiang asked. As long as you have a small piece, you can form a Tao heart. With a Tao heart, you can directly absorb the power of the great Tao. If you have a special cultivation method and your own comprehension, you can see through the great Tao's laws and obtain the power of the laws. Yue said. This Soul Hall's chief hall master has always been wanting to find this kind of Tao heart stone and refine the beast's divine soul inside. That's what he said. I don't know what he wants, but in short, he came to the beast's divine palace before and entrusted us to help him search, giving him a very generous reward. I still haven't found it, Yue said. I also want to see this Tao heart stone. Although I am using the power of the spatial laws, I am unable to directly absorb the power of the great Tao. You have the 6 realms mirrors, so you can directly absorb the 6 realms power through the 6 realms mirrors, but you are unable to see through the secrets of the great Tao laws, unless you have a Tao heart. Chen Xiang's heart skipped a beat and he anxiously asked, If I had a Tao heart, then that means I can skillfully use the power of all kinds of laws. Yue nodded. That's right. You can absorb Tao energy and use many different types of laws at will. This is something that many experts yearn for. If I find this good stuff, will I give it back to him? Chen Xiang was conflicted. This was a priceless treasure. He just wants to get a small piece, and it's not easy to find either. If we can find it, giving him the size of a grain is enough for him to form a Tao heart. This chief hall master of the Soul Hall is still pretty good. Yue replied, When do you plan on leaving? The faster the better, of course. Let's go now. Chen Xiang said. All right, let's go. Yue thought of working with Chen Xiang and had a kind of indescribable antic. 1p Asian. This was because the last time she worked with Chen Xiang, she was extremely happy. Yue took out a backpack from her storage magic treasure and let Chen Xiang carry her inside. Yue, where did you come from? The reason you're hiding in this bag is because you're afraid of being recognized, right? Chen Xiang asked. You little thing, from the first day I saw you, you have been acting mysterious. Yue tenderly snorted. I have a big background. You only need to know this. Even if I told you now, you wouldn't understand. Chen Xiang walked out of the city and arrived at the heaven stairway. He needed to struggle for a while longer to get there. A special G.O.D. beast like you that cannot morph should have the right to fly. Can't you bring me flying? That way I can quickly reach the ground. Chen Xiang was running wildly on the stairs. When he saw people coming up, he would hurriedly stop and avoid them. Just as Chen Xiang finished speaking, his backpack moved a bit. Yue was no longer inside, so when Chen Xiang raised his head, he saw a large white hawk appear above him. This white hawk used its claws to grab both his arms, and then brought him down to the ground. Little Moon also understood how to use the power of the SPAC laws. After continuously shuttling through SPAC, she was soon able to see the ground. The big white hawk flashed with a white light and disappeared. Chen Xiang also felt that his small backpack was heavy. Yue had already changed back. Was that your original body just now? Asked. Just now, even when he used the Chaos Divine Eye, he was unable to see through it. Of course not, my main body is a cat. I just used the transformation technique. The cat replied in a low voice, Let's go, we'll go to the mountain range outside first. Chen Xiang already knew the way, so she didn't need Yue's guidance to directly travel through SPAC to leave. Not long after, she left Beast God Mountain far away, and the enormous Beast God Mountain could no longer be seen. After half a day, he arrived at a swamp, and it was already dusk. The blood-colored sunset dyed half the sky red. The purple smoke scattered in the air, and Chen Xiang could see it clearly from afar. This showed that this purple smoke was very thick. Yue flew out from her backpack and said, "We're almost there. As long as we pass this purple smoke volcano, we'll be close to the mountain range." Purple smoke volcano just appeared not long ago. Chen Xiang touched the water in the swamp. Feeling the warmth of the water, it unexpectedly contained a trace of firepower. "This water can be ignited just by a little," Chen Xiang said. "Let's hurry up and leave this swamp. If this place burns up, it would not be fun." Chen Xiang brought Yue and quickly walked out of the swamp. After he distanced himself from the swamp, he suddenly felt a weak cold air coming from behind them. "What's going on?" Chen Xiang frowned. He felt that it was very strange. If it was suddenly ignited behind him, he would have felt that it was normal, but the cold qi that came from behind him made him feel as if he was being frozen. He immediately released his divine soul, and his divine soul quickly floated up into the air. He only saw that the marsh behind him had actually been frozen. "It's frozen!" Chen Xiang shouted in shock. "I remember this cold qi," Yue said in a low voice. "It's a silver lion, there's only one. It's strange, why would you be targeted by the Prince Divine Lions? You should be chasing after Old Bai and the rest." This morning, Chi Plus was frostbitten by this icy cold power, so he was extremely familiar with this type of cold energy. This icy cold power was spat out from one of the silver lion's mouth. Now that the silver lion had appeared in this place, it was obvious that it had its eyes on them. Continue walking. If he wanted to make a move, he would have already done so. However, right now, he is only following you. He might have other motives, Yue said. This silver lion is not easy to deal with. With 11 divine deity, and only one coming now, the other one might go chase after Old Bai. This darn Prince Divine Lions, I only casually saved Chi Plus, but he actually sent a beast with such strength to deal with me. Chen Xiang cursed. Looks like the silver lion could have transformed a long time ago. Right now, it should have taken the human form to follow you. Yue, on the other hand, was very calm. She panicked. "Don't think too much. We need to increase our speed and enter the mountain range. Next, you have to conceal yourself well. Looks like the silver lion could have transformed a long time ago. Right now, it should have taken the human form to follow you." Yue, on the other hand, was very calm. She panicked. "Don't think too much. We need to increase our speed and enter the mountain range. Next, you have to conceal yourself well." Chen Xiang had not hidden his presence all the way back, but now he released a domain to separate himself from the surrounding spac. After a few long-distance teleportation, he arrived at a group of volcanoes that were emitting purple smoke. "You're quite strong. If you don't enter this area, perhaps I won't be able to discover you." Chen Xiang heard a cold laughter. Then, the surrounding volcanoes suddenly turned into ice mountains, and a thick layer of ice quickly condensed on the ground. In the blink of an eye, the entire area was covered in snow and ice. This kind of power was simply too terrifying. Furthermore, this was a hot volcano range. Chen Xiang had already seen the silver lion. Its body was enveloped by a layer of faint mist. Its silver hair was wildly dancing. Its face was very white. Its eyes were green, giving off a cold light as it sized up Chen Xiang. "Calm down. It's easy for us to leave this place if we work together." Yue transmitted a message to Chen Xiang. At this time, Chen Xiang suddenly felt a kind of indescribable power coming from his bag. Yue was releasing her own spatial energy. "Just release your spatial force. Leave the rest to me." Yue replied, "Don't be afraid of him." Chen Xiang immediately released his spatial energy with all his might. The strange thing was that his spatial energy did not leak out even a single bit of his aura, which had been completely absorbed by Yue. "You're that silver lion, and you've actually turned into this dog," Chen Xiang sneered. Why didn't your master come personally? He sent you here, isn't he worried that you won't be able to go back? The silver lion's face suddenly twitched. Chen Xiang's words clearly angered him. He never thought that a weak human like Chen Xiang would actually dare to be so arrogant in front of him. The young master said that he would capture you alive, but I can tell him that he accidentally killed you. The silver lion's voice turned cold. One of its arms suddenly turned into ice, releasing a burst of terrifying cold air, striking Chen Xiang. Let's go. Yue giggled, and Chen Xiang disappeared. The silver lion's face congealed. Just now, he had felt an extremely terrifying wave of spatial energy, and he had even heard the laughter of a girl. This made him suddenly remember something terrifying. You can't leave. The silver lion sucked in a small breath of air, because he wanted to confirm who was with Chen Xiang and if it was that terrifying fellow. Chen Xiang was also sweating profusely just now. Fortunately, Yue had acted in time and broke the silver lion's spatial seal in an instant, bringing him to an ancient forest. So dangerous, what is this place? Chen Xiang touched the trunk of a huge tree beside him, and after he lightly punched it, he discovered that the trunk was extremely dysprosium. We're already in that mountain range. I intentionally left some traces for that guy to catch up to us. Yue smiled. That idiot may already know that it's me, but he'll still come over. Chen Xiang was originally very surprised that Yue left such a trace. After hearing what Yue said later on, he understood that Yue had other motives. We're going to set up a trap? Chen Xiang asked curiously. More or less, in short, he didn't dare to be so arrogant after entering this place. To most humans and beasts, this silver lion is an extremely terrifying existence, but here, if he was a little careless, he would die even faster than me. Yue smiled. If we're lucky, we might be able to help him collect his corpse. Chen Xiang looked at Yue, who had stuck her head out from the backpack, and Vered. This little thing was too terrifying, it actually wanted to trick that silver lion to death. However, he still did not understand why this mountain range was so terrifying. Where is the danger? Chen Xiang walked in the direction Yue pointed, looking around at the peaceful scenery. The flowers and plants here were all very good, there were very few beasts here. If not for them, the flowers and plants would all be stepped on. Yue replied, I've only heard that there's something called a Tao spirit within this mountain range. It should be considered a spirit body, nurtured by the Great Tao's power, and can directly use the power of the Great Tao's laws. It's extremely terrifying. Tao spirit. When Chen Xiang heard Yue describe this thing to such a terrifying extent that it gave rise to Guseb. MPS in his heart, he was worried that such a thing would suddenly appear and kill him. Yes, but you and I do not need to use things, we all have the power of the Great Tao, I have the power of the SPAC path, and you are the Six Realms power. Although that silver lion is powerful, but I could already feel that he did not control the power of the ancient code, so it would be very dangerous for him to enter. Yue smiled sweetly, that's why he came here and frozen it like before. When the inspiration for the ice path arrives at the icy cold power, he'll come immediately. Chen Xiang understood, that was why Yue said that this was a trap. However, we cannot be careless. Aside from the Tao spirit, there are other dangers here, and these are basically all heaven's risk. Because things like Tao Heartstone can be developed here, there are also many natural killing arrays or illusions. We cannot let our guard down. Yue immediately warned Chen Xiang as she saw his guard down. Chen Xiang felt that finding Yue before he came to do this was extremely right. If Yue didn't tell him these things, who knows what dangers lay within. Because this was the Tao spirit's territory, Chen Xiang did not release the spatial sensing domain. Be careful in front. Yue suddenly shouted, causing Chen Xiang to immediately stop. In front of him, there was nothing. In the forest that Chen Xiang was in, every tree had a straight tree trunk, and every tree had the same distance between them, which looked extremely accurate, but there were some large trees in front of him, so the distance between them was different. The biggest difference was at least 3 inches, and the smallest was even an inch. Normally, it would be difficult to discover it, so she didn't pay much attention to it. However, in Littleman's eyes, this was a very important matter. There's a killing array in front of you. If you don't believe me, you can just throw something solid inside. Yue said. Chen Xiang took out a small piece of top stone, which was an extremely stiff piece of God levels artifact forging material. Just as the top stone entered, it turned into a cloud of smoke, causing Chen Xiang to open his mouth wide in shock. This is too scary. Chen Xiang just entered and he already encountered this kind of natural killing array. These giant trees had grown for a very long time, and they had followed this rule from the very beginning until now, and naturally formed a killing array. The countless complicated tree roots that were underground were the spirit grains that formed the killing array, and the heaven and earth powers that had been absorbed by each tree for many years were the source of the killing array energy. When Chen Xiang was undergoing the Supreme Divine Palace's trial, it was because Yue had told him where the traps were, that he was able to smoothly pass through. When Chen Xiang was undergoing the Supreme Divine Palace's trial, it was because Yue had told him where the traps were, that he was able to smoothly pass through. Yue, this mysterious kitten, was born with this mysterious and powerful spiritual sense, so she could discover these hidden traps. Looks like I can only go around it. Chen Xiang released his divine sense to sense the trees in front and discovered that a large area of trees was covered in this kind of situation. If he wanted to take a detour, he would have to travel a long distance. In this sort of situation, he couldn't teleport either. If he did, he would fall into such a terrifying natural killing array in an instant, and then there would be no way for him to escape at all. Break it. These killing formations are very easy to break. The formation is created by the arrangement of the trees and the roots underground. As long as you break it, it shouldn't be hard for you. Yue flew back and forth a few rounds, carefully observing the outside of the killing array. Chen Xiang tried and discovered that he could use his power to enter the killing array. Although a large amount of it had been absorbed, it was enough for him to break through the killing array. The most effective and direct method was to use a strong force to blast down the trees in front of them, creating a path that they could pass through. This formation is very strange. Even if you destroy the roots will quickly grow back and continue to form the killing formation. Yue said, "It's best if you don't destroy the trees and just the root. This way, you won't destroy the killing formation. I think it's better to maintain this state." Chen Xiang finally understood and released his spatial energy to penetrate the ground and separate all the roots from the ground. That way, he would be able to cut them off easily. This killing array was very big, it was formed by a large forest. Chen Xiang walked forward, destroying the roots underneath the ground. As long as the roots were not linked together, the killing array would be incomplete, unable to form the power to attack. It took him half a day to get out of the killing array. I left quite a few footprints along the way. If that silver lion caught up, it would be very easy for it to find out. I wonder if it could see through the mystery of this killing array. Chen Xiang said. He turned his head to look behind him and discovered that the severed roots had already sprouted out from deep underground. He inwardly exclaimed in admiration at the regeneration ability of these trees. If I use the heavenly alchemy to refine these trees into pills, I should be able to refine a healing pellet. Although Chen Xiang had that thought, he did not attack it. He could not bear to destroy this kind of ancient forest. Furthermore, he needed to use it to deal with the silver lion. Yue said, "We will be able to leave this forest very soon. The roots of the trees here aren't very strong, so this place is at the edge. The center of this forest is where a large amount of the divine energy can be gathered." Although Yue confirmed that there were no traps ahead, he still didn't dare to use teleportation. He could only run on his 2 legs. Indeed, he only ran for half an hour before exiting the forest. What he didn't expect was that after exiting the forest, he actually arrived at a beach. The blazing sun hung in the sky, and the scorching sunlight shone down, causing even Chen Xiang to feel hot. He stood on the golden beach, and looked at the blue ocean wind in front of him. He looked at the 2 sides of the beach, but he couldn't see the end. It was obvious that the coast here was very long. Why is there a sea here? Don't tell me we're inside an illusory magic array? Chen Xiang was very suspicious about this, because the information he had gathered from the mission token was completely different from what he had encountered before. Just as Chen Xiang was blowing the comfortable sea breeze, a loud roar came out from behind him. It's that silver lion. Yue giggled with her tender and sweet voice. Just by listening to the roar, you can tell that he's in great pain. He's been tricked. Let's hurry up and go along the S8. O-R-E. Chen Xiang looked at both sides and randomly chose a direction, then started running wildly on the beach. He took off his shoes and stepped on the cold seawater. While playing and running, it didn't seem like he was running for his life. Yue quickly flew a circle around Sea Mountain, licked her lips, and then returned to Chen Xiang's side and said, "It's not an illusory formation, this ocean should only be present later on. Furthermore, very few people have entered this place during this period of time, so it's just that I don't know how these seawater came about. This sea has only been formed not long ago, but the seawater is extremely ancient. What is going on? Isn't this a bit too strange?" Chen Xiang said. "There is only one possibility, and that is that the water in this place came from another world. From the looks of the energy contained in the water, it's very likely that it's the Gods realm." Yue's voice became serious. There might be a path that leads to the Gods realm. Chen Xiang immediately became excited. He had wanted to return to the Gods realm since a long time ago. If there really was such a sage, he could secretly return with Feng Yujie in the future. You met me last time in Gods realm, then you went back to this super God realm. Chen Xiang stopped and looked at the vast ocean, as if he wanted to see through everything and find the path that leads to the Gods realm. Yue urged, "Quickly run. Although we don't know how is the silver lion, in order to increase the distance between us, you must not stop." Chen Xiang did not know how long he would have to run along the coast. At night, the starry sky by the seaside was even more beautiful, and the moon was bigger. Yue stuck out her little head from her backpack and looked at the beautiful moon and stars in the sky. Her little eyes were filled with joy. Chen Xiang was still running frantically. He knew that Yue liked the night a lot, because she was a star and crescent beast. She loved the stars in the sky the most. "Didn't you ask me in the day how I got to the Gods realm?" Yue suddenly said. She giggled and said, "The stars and the moon helped me pass it. This is the power of the stars and moon. I can only go pass by myself." Chen Xiang was just about to say something when he felt the familiar cold energy. He was startled and looked behind him only to see that the water 3 kilometers behind him had been completely frozen and was still continuing to stretch forward. They quickly arrived at his current location and continued to stretch forward. "This guy is angry," Yue shouted, "Quickly run." Chen Xiang had already started sprinting. He was still using teleportation to increase his speed. He used his soul to fly up high to the sky to dive. Under the starlight, he saw a giant lion covered in silver light sprinting on the ice. This guy was worried that there might be a trap, so he froze the water surface, forming a path for himself to walk on. Yue urged Chen Xiang to increase his speed, because the silver lion's speed was extremely fast. If he could reach a certain distance, he would be able to launch an attack at Chen Xiang from afar. Right now, Chen Xiang was not a match for the silver lion. If he was sealed in ice, he would be in danger. 1957. 1957. The seawater along the S8. It was frozen over, forming a thick layer of ice. Silver Lion began to run wildly on it. Their speed was also very fast, and they were slowly shortening the distance between them and Chen Xiang. Run to the surface of the sea and see how much sea water he can freeze. Yue suddenly said, "Don't worry, I will use my utmost strength to sense the killing array on the sea surface." Chen Xiang immediately changed his direction and charged towards the depths of the ocean. In the blink of an eye, he had teleported a few times and he could no longer see the S8 anymore. The Silver Lion also knew that Chen Xiang had ran to the surface of the sea. He was also very surprised with this piece of sea. When the Silver Lion was trapped in the killing array in the forest, he knew that Chen Xiang had purposely lured him here and made him suffer a huge loss. Therefore, he had to take Chen Xiang down, or else it would be difficult to dispel the hatred in his heart. Chen Xiang did not know how much damage the killing array had done to the Silver Lion, but he saw that the Silver Lion's body had a lot of wounds. "Little Moon, that killing formation is made of trees. Wouldn't it be fine if we just flew over there?" Chen Xiang said, "I should have tried it before. You're courting death. That killing formation has covered the skies, so if you were to fly through it, you would be in an even more miserable state." After Yue finished her sentence, she suddenly shrieked, "Quickly stop!" Seeing Yue's reaction, not only did Chen Xiang stop, he even teleported a distance away. "How?" Just as Chen Xiang said this word, a few white lights suddenly appeared on the surface of the water in front of him, emitting a very threatening cold aura. White light surged out of the water surface, and the cold qi caused a layer of frost to form on the exterior of Chen Xiang's body. That terrifying cold qi directly penetrated through his profound clothing and entered his body. He even felt that his strong supreme D bone was a little stiff, his entire body was frozen, unable to move. This kind of cold force was too terrifying. Chen Xiang immediately released the power of the spatial laws, preventing the terrifying cold energy from invading him. He used the Chuangzhao fire to expel the cold energy from his body, and only then was he able to move. The white light that shot out from the bottom of the sea had already turned into dozens of white blobs of light. These blobs of light were as tall as a person and floated above the sea, emitting waves of terrifying cold air with the white light. Chen Xiang subconsciously thought of something. "It's a Tao spirit that controls the laws of ice." Yue said in a low voice, "Don't move. Even if you wanted to escape, it won't be that easy when you encounter something like this." Right now, Chen Xiang was personally feeling the power of these Tao spirit. This kind of ice law power was countless times stronger than the Silver Lion that came over here. Yue had also said before, if they made too much noise while they were in there, it was very likely that they would lure the Tao spirits out. The Silver Lion chased after Chen Xiang and sealed up the entire coastal waters, and now that he was out of the ocean, it was possible that it would release icy cold power all the way out into the open. The ball of light in front suddenly exploded. Even though Chen Xiang had strengthened his SPAC domain, the cold qi still penetrated through, causing him to SHI plus ver. After dozens of BALL S of white light burst out, Chen Xiang was stunned. He originally thought that there was some kind of terrifying monster hidden within the ball of light, but he didn't expect it to be dozens of women. These women were all completely red. They were naked, and these dozens of women were extremely beautiful. Their eyes were hollow, giving people a very pure feeling. Although they were naked, they did not have any of Chen Xiang's demonic desires, and he did not know why, but this feeling was very strange. At this time, they were using their tender and beautiful feet to step on the water surface, gracefully walking towards Chen Xiang, while Chen Xiang was just standing there blankly. There was no time to think about the beautiful things that would happen. The bodies and looks of these girls were all excellent, causing him to praise them repeatedly in his heart. The sea breeze blew gently, and the long hair of these women fluttered in the wind. Their chests stood straight in the cold wind, and their two cherry-red faces were even more beautiful. The Silver Lion had already arrived behind Chen Xiang, and he saw these women. Although he was shocked, he did not put them in his eyes. The Silver Lion took out a long sword. He came up behind Chen Xiang and swung it down. Chen Xiang obviously noticed it, but Yue told him not to move, so he broke out in a cold sweat and followed Yue's instructions, standing there without moving an inch. "Brat, if you had cooperated properly before, perhaps I would only have caught you and brought you back. Young master would not have killed you, but now—" Too late. The Silver Lion's face hardened and slashed forward. The sword slashed towards Chen Xiang's neck, but when it came into contact with his neck, it suddenly shattered. The Silver Lion was shocked. His divine sword was not weak, as it was a high-grade divine weapon. But in the blink of an eye, it was frozen into ice shards by the cold energy that he was the most adept at. The group of ladies in front of Chen Xiang suddenly disappeared. "Ah!" The Silver Lion suddenly roared in shock. Chen Xiang could not help but turn her head, and realized that the beautiful ladies were all behind the Silver Lion, and in front of the group of girls was a tall lady with a sword in her hand. This woman was also completely red. Being naked, she was taller than the other girls, and in her hand was an ice sword. What made Chen Xiang astonished was that her face gave Chen Xiang a familiar feeling. She looked very pure and beautiful, but even though her body was releasing a terrifying cold aura, she still gave people a feeling of innocence. It was because of this feeling that when Chen Xiang saw the beauty's jade body, he did not dare to have any ulterior motives. The Silver Lion was penetrated by the ice sword, and quickly melted into ice, before finally falling into the sea and disappearing. Chen Xiang was so scared that he did not dare to move. He stared at the beauty, and did not dare to look around either. You are different from us." Her voice was very sweet and light, and it was obvious that she did not speak very often. As for the girl behind her, she also suddenly disappeared. Chen Xiang was startled, then took out a set of clothes and handed it over, and smiled at the woman. "You shouldn't be like this. If you want to wear a set of clothes, then a woman's body cannot be casually shown to others." After Yue heard this, she whispered, "If you see it for yourself, then don't show it to others." When the woman received the clothes, she accidentally touched her beautiful chest, causing it to slightly tremble, causing Chen Xiang to secretly cry out a few times. "Clothes." When the woman said this word, she seemed to not know what it was. "Like this." Chen Xiang tugged at the clothes on his body and said, "It's something that covers my body. Why should I hide it? Isn't that great? Being able to get close to the main road, you should be like me." She looked at her clothes and frowned slightly, then said it back to Chen Xiang. Chen Xiang groaned in his heart. He didn't know if he could continue to control this silly beauty even if she didn't put on her clothes. He really wanted to turn around and leave right away, but he was a little unwilling to part with this beauty. Chen Xiang groaned in his heart. He didn't know if he could continue to control this silly beauty even if she didn't put on her clothes. He really wanted to turn around and leave right away, but he was a little unwilling to part with this beauty. Men don't look good when they take off their clothes. Although you look good when you take them off, the more beautiful they are, the more they don't want others to see them. They only want the people they love the most. Chen Xiang was extremely depressed in his heart. He was actually teaching a fairy who had lived for D knows how many years to wear clothes right now. Although he really wanted to see this beauty's naked appearance, because it was really too pleasing to the eye, he felt that doing so wasn't too ethical. The girl blinked her beautiful eyes. She did not understand either. She did not understand what Chen Xiang had said. Chen Xiang never thought that these Tao spirits would be so pure and terrifying. The water surface had already been frozen into ice. The beautiful woman on the ice, who had a jade body and ice body, was naturally formed again and again, causing Chen Xiang to look at her absent-mindedly. "All right, you'll look even better after you put on the clothes. Try it if you don't believe me," Chen Xiang said again. The lady pulled on the light purple clothes. It seemed like she did not know how to put the items into her body. While she was fiddling with the clothes, Chen Xiang's thief eyes released sets of light. The Tao spirit was created by one's own cultivation. Moreover, it was so powerful that it was not too stupid. Soon, she knew how to enter it. Furthermore, she knew that there was a high level of comprehension over there. After the woman's flawlessly beautiful body was covered by the purple dress, Chen Xiang felt a bit of contradiction in his heart. However, he felt that he had taken advantage of her a lot, although he had not had the pleasure of seeing it before. It did look a lot better. With a wave of her hand, a mirror made of water appeared in front of her. Her eyes that were filled with innocence flickered with a joyful light. "Thank you for the gift." The lady was also very polite, thanking Chen Xiang with her beautiful smile. Chen Xiang thought, wasn't it just a set of clothes? He also had some in his ring, which were all left behind by Bai Yuyu and Su Meiyao in the past. "You're welcome. Just now you saved me. I can't even thank you in time." Chen Xiang then took out a few women's dresses with different styles and colors and handed them over. The woman immediately received it, but what Chen Xiang did not expect was that as soon as she received it, she took off all the clothes on her body, and then put on another set of clothes. Seeing her take off her clothes, for Chen Xiang, it was an ornamental sight, causing his breathing to become slightly heavier. "Thank you. I think I should wear this color today." In the end, the woman wore a long blue dress. At this moment, she was like a young girl wearing clothes on New Year's Eve, revealing a very bright and enchanting smile. When she appeared, she was completely red. It was naked. Chen Xiang did not see what storage magic treasure she had, but she had changed the rest of the clothes into nothing. Chen Xiang guessed that she must have had a storage magic treasure that was hidden in the divine sense sea, so she kept the clothes inside. "Although it looks good, I'm still not used to it." After the woman finished speaking, Chen Xiang, who had just calmed down a little, could not control herself anymore. The woman had actually taken off her clothes again, revealing her beautiful and tender body, and was even rubbing her chest. "Enit, are you done yet?" Chen Xiang secretly gasped. The woman was very smart. She released a blue mist to cover the blue dress, then used her hand to stretch out her chest area to make it wider. When she got back to bed, she nodded her head in satisfaction. "Remember, don't take off your clothes," Chen Xiang warned with a serious face. Although the woman didn't understand why, she still nodded and didn't ask why. "You humans have many rules, I've heard of them." The woman whispered, "I know you're human. You won't kill me, will you?" Chen Xiang laughed and asked. The lady looked purer than water, but she had only taken out 1 or 2 of the silver lioness. "Of course not. It's not like you are messing around in my place. I'm not like the other Tao spirits that are killing people randomly." The woman smiled gently. "And you even gave me such a good present." Even though the woman was a Tao spirit, she had heard about some human matters. This meant that in her world there was knowledge to spread. However, it wasn't like humans. Otherwise, she wouldn't have known about the differences between men and women. "I still have things to do, so I'll take my leave." Chen Xiang came here to look for the Tao Heartstone, and even if he found the Tao Heartstone, he had to rush back to Supreme Divine Palace. Chen Xiang had just turned around and flew a distance away, when the woman appeared in front of him in a flash and stopped him. "Where are you going? Can I come with you?" The woman's beautiful eyes were filled with antic Asian and curiosity. Chen Xiang had read countless people, and with one look he could tell that although the woman was strong, she was inferior to those girls that had yet to reach the world. He actually wanted to take the initiative and walk with an unfamiliar man. "I'm going to find a stone, and when I find it, I'm going to go back to my human world. After Chen Xiang finished speaking, the woman became excited. Can I go with you to the human world to take a look? Your family's adults don't object, right? Chen Xiang was startled. He did not know why she asked this question, but if the woman really had an elder, and her elder knew that he had kidnapped this foolish beauty, he would definitely be hunted down. My lord. The lady was confused. She did not understand what Chen Xiang meant. That is to say, you will just come with me, Would some of the same kind not object? Chen Xiang explained step by step. I've been told since I was young that when there's a chance, I have to go out. When there's a chance, I have to go into the human society to become stronger, but I stayed here for a very long time, sleeping for a very long time, and every time I woke up, none of my peers went out. Now that I've met you, this is just a chance. The woman spoke very seriously and was a little excited. Seeing her like this, Chen Xiang couldn't help but think of Dongfang Jing, this little girl. She really wanted to do it, but the lady in front of him was much taller and stronger than him. Can you take me with you? The lady's eyes were full of pleading. That kind of gaze was not something Chen Xiang could make a decision about. All right, but I have to find a kind of stone here to get back. Although Chen Xiang didn't think much on the surface, he was secretly happy in his heart. It felt good to be able to kidnap such a foolish beauty away. I'm Shui Bingyan, big sis, what about you? The woman asked with her innocent and beautiful big eyes. Chen Xiang almost vomited a mouthful of blood when he heard this, but Yue, who was inside his backpack, was smiling nonstop. Elder sister doesn't call me that. Chen Xiang spent some time to explain the situation above to her. In the future, if she wanted to go to the human world, she must master a lot of basic knowledge. Oh, so that's how it is. Thank you, elder brother Shen. After Shui Bingyan understood, he showed an apologetic smile to Chen Xiang. Her comprehension ability was very high, she could understand it easily. Although Shui Bingyan was older than him, she slept most of the time. If one were to talk about psychological age, Shui Bingyan was no different from a little girl. Therefore, when Shui Bingyan called Chen Xiang a elder brother Shen, Chen Xiang shamelessly nodded. Elder brother Shen, what are you looking for? She had also noticed Yue. Although it was the first time she had seen Yue, she still felt Yue to be very cute, and lovingly stroked her in her arms while unable to let go of her hand. Chen Xiang and Yue's hearts were moved. This Shui Bingyan was a very powerful Tao spirit, she might even know where there were Tao Heartstones. If Shui Bingyan had heard the name, he definitely wouldn't have known what kind of stone the Tao Heartstone was. After that, Yue used her strength and transformed a rock into a rock on her little claws. Although it looked no different from a normal rock, if Shui Bingyan knew it, he would have immediately recognized it. If Shui Bingyan had heard the name, he definitely wouldn't have known what kind of stone the Tao Heartstone was. After that, Yue used her strength and transformed a rock into a rock on her little claws. Although it looked no different from a normal rock, if Shui Bingyan knew it, he would have immediately recognized it. It's this kind of stone. Bingyan, have you seen it before? Chen Xiang asked. I've seen it before, but I have too. I can give you one, but this stone is hard to find. Shui Bingyan said as he took out a white stone. This stone was even bigger than what Chen Xiang had imagined. The Tao Heartstone was white in color, and there were naturally spirit grain formed on the surface of the stone, so Shui Bingyan could recognize it at a glance. Shui Bingyan was a little shocked to see Chen Xiang and said, If you want to find them, it will still take a while to find them. I only found 3 after all these years. I have already used one for myself. This piece is for you. This. It's too big, can it be broken? Chen Xiang did not want to take such a big piece to complete the mission order, because the mission order said that only a small piece was enough. Of course you can. It's very easy to get rid of it. Shui Bingyan's jade-like hand moved forward like lightning and smacked the Tao Heartstone, causing it to instantly shatter. It originally had an irregular shape, but after it shattered, it became many round granules. Chen Xiang immediately caught it. There were 150 pieces of these Dao Heart Stone, and each of them was as big as a thumb ball. After breaking them, they would naturally split into the shape of bead. That's good. Shui Bingyan laughed. Yu'er asked for one pill, and gave Chen Xiang the rest to keep. Shui Bingyan anxiously wanted to experience the human world. After she found the Dao Heart Stone for Chen Xiang, she immediately rushed towards the S8. At a fast speed. Seeing that, Chen Xiang anxiously teleported to catch up. Bingyan, have you come to the S8 yet? Chen Xiang asked. I've never been here before. I once thought of leaving by myself, but they told me that there were a lot of powerful people who were unable to leave. They were all heavily injured or died on the way back. Shui Bingyan shook her head. After she arrived at the S8 she smiled at Chen Xiang. Elder brother Shen, you should be able to bring me out safely, right? Chen Xiang never thought that the natural array formations in this place would not only make powerful humans and beasts feel a headache, even the powerful Dao spirits inside would also feel fear towards them. So that's how it is. The formations here should all be for Dao spirit. If the Dao spirits were to come into contact with these formations, they might become even more powerful. Yu'er said. Chen Xiang laughed. Bingyan, don't worry. I'll bring you out soon enough. It was right that you didn't go out by yourself previously. When he thought about how Shui Bingyan, this silly beauty, had ran out naked, Chen Xiang felt his heart ache. Yes. When Shui Bingyan reached the S8 he stopped running around because she wanted to follow Chen Xiang. She knew that Chen Xiang was much weaker than her, but Chen Xiang gave her a feeling that he was very capable. Chen Xiang turned around and looked at this mysterious ocean. Yu'er had said before that this place did not have any seas to begin with, and had only appeared recently. Bingyan, has this sea existed since long ago? Chen Xiang wanted to know if there was a tunnel that led to God's realm deep within the ocean. I wasn't this old before, but I suddenly grew up a while ago. At that time, I was sleeping, and after sleeping for a long time, I woke up and became very big. Shui Bingyan was also full of questions about this, but she had asked her own kind and couldn't get an answer. Shui Bingyan's answer meant that she didn't know why, but it made Chen Xiang believe even more that there was a passage leading to the God's realm, because the seawater that appeared afterwards came from the God's realm. Shui Bingyan was playing with Yu'er. Yu'er looked cute, but she was completely different. She was a very clever and mysterious demon cat. Yu'er, will you follow me back to the Supreme Divine Palace? Chen Xiang asked. Sure, but can you get that ice face inside? Not everyone can enter Supreme Divine Palace. Yu'er seemed to like Shui Bingyan a lot, and Shui Bingyan was even more fond of this cute little cat. Not to mention one, I can even get 10 inside, said confidently. Although he had been targeted by the divine nations, as long as nothing bad happened to him in the near future, he was still doing pretty good in the Supreme Divine Palace, and adding the Dao Heart Stone he had obtained, as long as he gave the Dao Heart Stone to the Chief Hall Master of the Soul Hall, not only would he be able to get a portion of the Xin Yuan Stone, he would also be able to get a good divine soul. Chen Xiang brought Shui Bingyan, and according to his route, he would return directly to the Supreme Divine Palace. The Silver Lion had already been dead for a period of time, so the Prince Divine Lions took out a pearl filled with cracks. His face was filled with confusion, because he could not understand why the Silver Lion would die, and he gently crushed the pearl in his hand. He did not feel any pain even though the Silver Lion had died, but he was very curious how the Silver Lion had died. He remembered that the reason he sent out his Silver Lion was to capture Chen Xiang, the person who had saved Hi+, and the Silver Lion should have returned a long time ago, because in his eyes, capturing Chen Xiang was an extremely easy task. I must investigate carefully. If it really was that human who killed him, I must make him pay. Prince Divine Lions immediately left the Beast Divine Palace. One of them had been sent by him to capture Qin Xiang, and the other had been followed by the White Crocodile and Chi. Now, one had already died. The originally confident Prince Divine Lions had already realized that Qin Xiang and Chi were not easy to deal with, so he rushed back to his Divine Lion race in the middle of the night. He was going to use his elite strength to investigate this matter. Qin Xiang had came to the entrance of the Supreme Divine Palace, and after he had left the Supreme Divine Palace for a month, he had finally returned alive. Right now, he was staying outside the Supreme Divine Palace. He originally wanted to be a little faster, but in order to take care of Shui Bingyan, who had entered human society for the first time, Qin Xiang played with her for a few days, allowing her to recognize some things she had never seen before. Because Shui Bingyan could not enter the Supreme Divine Palace, he could only accompany Shui Bingyan outside. He was not at ease with Shui Bingyan and Yuer outside, so Qin Xiang asked a Pas Sing disciple of the Supreme Divine Palace to help him notify the old man of the Supreme Hall. For this, he paid 2,000 Shin Yuan stone. When the old man from the Supreme Hall came out, he immediately felt it was strange and unexpected. Qin Xiang had actually returned so quickly, and was even coming back alive. He suspected that Qin Xiang had went back to that place. Until now, Qin Xiang still did not know the old man's name. He had asked Luo Tianjun for his name, but Luo Tianjun did not tell him anything. Brat, you have hands and feet, why didn't you go in to find me and instead let me out? When the old man saw that Qin Xiang was perfectly fine, and that he was extremely spirited as well as an antique that had lived for many years, when he saw a beautiful woman beside Qin Xiang, he subconsciously understood something. Elder, can you bring her into Supreme Divine Palace? Qin Xiang laughed and asked. He knew that this old man was very capable, walking to the back door or something shouldn't be a problem for him. The elderly people in Supreme Hall often saw Qin Xiang and Feng Yujie together. He originally thought that Qin Xiang and Feng Yujie was a pair, but now Qin Xiang had actually brought a woman back. The elderly people in Supreme Hall often saw Qin Xiang and Feng Yujie together. He originally thought that Qin Xiang and Feng Yujie was a pair, but now Qin Xiang had actually brought a woman back. Shui Bingyan smiled at the old man, seeing her innocent and sweet appearance. The old man secretly cursed Qin Xiang in his heart, to actually trick such an innocent girl. You didn't go looking for that stone. Although the old man looked a little disappointed on the surface, he was still very happy in his heart. If Qin Xiang went to that place, even if he came back and let Luo Tianjun know about this, he would definitely be scolded. Qin Xiang laughed. Of course I went, I'm back now. Clan Elder, are you able to help me get her inside? The old man did not expect Qin Xiang to return so quickly and safe, and even brought a beauty back with him. He said in a low voice, You must not tell Old Camel that I told you to go there. If you promise to help me, I will help you get her in. All right, it's a deal. Qin Xiang immediately nodded in agreement. The old man brought Qin Xiang, who was the best, into the door. The old man made an ident. 1. Tie plate for Shui Bingyan, which was a disciple of Dan Hall, with the 10th Hall written on it. Just as Qin Xiang had guessed, this old man held a lot of power in the Supreme Divine Palace. Upon entering the gate, Shui Bingyan saw the majestic buildings inside the Supreme Divine Palace, and couldn't help but to widely open his eyes and look around. Qin Xiang held her small hand, worried that she would run around in too much excitement, or randomly release his frightening power of the laws of ice and water. Shui Bingyan was a.g.o.d. Even if she was stunned, if he angered her, she would kill him in the blink of an eye. Back then, Qin Xiang had told her to conceal the strong power of the ancient code in her body and not expose it. Shui Bingyan had done well now, even the old man had not discovered it. Elder, is the stone you're talking about this type of stone? Chen Xiang took out an original bead. This was the Tao Heart Stone. The old man who was walking in front was stunned at first, but when he turned his head, Chen Xiang had already thrown the Tao Heart Stone over. The old man recognized the Tao Heart Stone, and he had not explained the use of the Tao Heart Stone to Chen Xiang previously because he was afraid that Chen Xiang would use it carelessly after finding it. The old man came back to reality and hastily kept the Tao Heart Stone as. He increased his pace and led Chen Xiang to turn left and right before entering a large manor. This is my residence. I'll go call that person over. The old man ran off in a hurry as Chen Xiang sat in the hall with his legs crossed. Shui Bingyan and Yue, on the other hand, were playing in a garden outside the hall. Seeing that there were so many beautiful flowers inside, Shui Bingyan was extremely excited, jumping around like a cheerful bunny. Smelling the fragrance released by the flowers, she started to chase after them like a child when she saw the beautiful bee-turflies flying towards them. It's great to be satisfied so easily, lamented. Back then, when he was young, he was also easily satisfied. Soon enough, the elder walked in with a burly old man wearing a purple robe. Chen Xiang. The moment the old man came in, he started to size Chen Xiang up, then patted Chen Xiang's shoulders and laughed loudly. Good kid, you're not bad. I heard from Xiao Chou that you're even his master. This old man was one of the supreme gods of the giant God clan, the commander of the entire Soul Hall. He was an elder with a high position and power in the Supreme Divine Palace. His name was Zhu Xiangyuan. Junior will be forever grateful to Senior for taking so much care of Xiao Chou. Chen Xiang also said with a smile. I originally thought that no one had completed my mission for many years, and I was just trying it out myself. I didn't think that someone would deliver the item I was looking for so quickly, and a little kid at that, haha. Zhu Xiangyuan laughed brazenly. This is a 10 million Shen Yuan stone for you. I'll give you that good divine soul in a few days. Chen Xiang received a storage bag. 10 million Shen Yuan stone was received just like that, which was relatively easier for him. Senior, I think it's best not to spread this matter. Chen Xiang really wanted to keep a low profile. I understand. When I'm free, I often come to the first Soul Hall, and Xiao Chou is really a little brat. He has been back for so long, yet he didn't bring you, his master, to visit the Soul Hall. Zhu Xiangyuan happily left the old man's courtyard. After the old man saw him leave, he then said, Brat, if you knew what that was, you wouldn't have given it to him so casually. Honestly speaking, his 10 million Shen Yuan stone S and divine soul combined are not even as good as that little stone's. Chen Xiang smiled and said, Of course I know. That's called Tao Heart Stone, right? The old man was shocked. Chen Xiang actually knew about this. Elder, this is for you. The Shen Yuan stone that I owe you, just write them off. These past few days, I have been very grateful to you for taking care of me and my senior sister. Chen Xiang gave a Tao Heart Stone to the old man. He had 100 or so of them, and gave one to the old man. In the future, when he meets with danger in the Supreme Divine Palace, the old man would not sit idly by and do nothing. The old man stared blankly for a moment before taking a deep breath. It seems like you have not only found one. He accepted the Tao Heart Stone because to him, this Tao Heart Stone was a very rare treasure that could strengthen his strength. Forget about Chen Xiang owing him 4 million Shen Yuan stone S. Even if it was owing him 40 million, he would still not accept it. Then I'll accept it. Come and find me if you need anything in the future. The old man was overjoyed. He had originally wanted to express his gratitude, but he felt that Chen Xiang should not be lacking anything now. The reason Chen Xiang did this was to build a good relations H+P with him. Chen Xiang walked out of the hall, and brought Yue and Shui Bingyan back to his 10th hall. Yue would also tell Shui Bingyan about many of the rules of the human world. Shui Bingyan remembered all of those things in his heart, because she didn't plan to return to the boring and tedious ocean. Chen Xiang left for a month, and upon his return, he actually brought back a woman. Three Gu brothers frowned. Chen Xiang had actually brought the woman back so blatantly, they felt that Chen Xiang should have taken Feng Yujie's feelings into consideration. Kid, which hall is she from? Oldest Gu asked. She's from our 10th Dan hall, but she doesn't know how to refine pills. You have to keep this a secret. Chen Xiang said in a low voice. I let her join our hall to give us some face, right? Three Gu brothers nodded. Second brother Gu said, Indeed, our 10th hall has two great beauties. The other Dan hall must not be jealous to death, ha. Gu Lao San asked, Where does she live? Don't tell me she lives in the same room as you? Shui Bingyan was obviously a little shy as he sat there quietly, stroking the smooth fur on Yuer's body while listening to their conversation with a sweet smile. Chen Xiang did indeed intend to let Shui Bingyan stay in the same room as him. Shui Bingyan was still like a child right now, and he couldn't be at ease with her at all. Chen Xiang did indeed intend to let Shui Bingyan stay in the same room as him. Shui Bingyan was still like a child right now, and he couldn't be at ease with her at all. At this time, Feng Yujie came out from closed-door cultivation. She heard Chen Xiang's voice coming from the living room, and immediately walked over. Seeing Shui Bingyan, Feng Yujie spat. She didn't think that Chen Xiang had only been out for a month, and already found such a good girl. Feng Yujie's face was full of jealousy, causing three Gu brothers and the other two to secretly laugh, and they tactfully ran away, although they really wanted to see what would happen next. The pure Shui Bingyan obviously didn't know what was going on. However, when she saw that Feng Yujie was a good-looking woman, she couldn't help but have a very intimate feeling towards him. She sweetly smiled at him. H.E.L. Lo, big sister. How did you get tricked by him? Feng Yujie walked over. She already knew who Chen Xiang was. Although she was jealous, she would not have any bad expression towards Shui Bingyan. Instead, she needed to take good care of her little sister. Don't make it sound so bad, she and I have nothing. Sister Feng, this matter is more important when we go back to our room. I went to Beast Divine Palace and saw Chi-S. H.I. Feng Yujie and Chen Xiang had been together for a while, so she already understood Chen Xiang very well. Seeing the look in his eyes, she knew that Chen Xiang was not lying, and the girl in front of her was not what she had imagined. But she still felt that she would definitely be harmed by Chen Xiang in the future. Feng Yujie also saw Yuer, who was in Shui Bingyan's embrace. Seeing that Yuer was very cute, she couldn't help but hug him for a while. When she hugged Yuer, she frowned, and then her expression changed slightly as she said in shock, This aura? It's the star and crescent beast. Let's talk inside. Chen Xiang lowered his voice and walked in front, bringing Feng Yujie and Shui Bingyan in. When three Gu brothers saw this from afar, he could not help but exclaim, This brat truly has quite the skill. He managed to make them submit so quickly. The oldest Gu sighed. After entering the room, Chen Xiang said, This is Shui Bingyan, she saved my life. This is Yuer, the mysterious kitten in the Beast Divine Palace, the one you mentioned earlier. She helped me greatly during my trial. This is Feng Yujie. Chen Xiang briefly introduced both parties. They might be living here for a while in the future. Yuer replied, I got the inheritance from the 9 divine kings. I knew it, but I didn't expect that she was also in the Supreme Divine Palace. Feng Yujie knew that Yuer could speak, so she wasn't surprised. Within the Star-Moon Divine race, cats are royalty, and your position in the Beast Divine Palace shouldn't be low. Furthermore, you're a pure white Star-Moon Divine cat. Chen Xiang was shocked as he looked at Yuer. The fur on her body was indeed very white and pure. Meow. Yuer cried out, Although my position in Beast Divine Palace isn't low, it isn't high either. Compared to that Prince Divine Lion's, I'm nothing. Speaking of Divine Lion race, Feng Yujie immediately thought of Hi plus. Hi plus and the other divine beasts were initially resurrected by the 9 divine kings, but now Feng Yujie knew some related matters. What's wrong with Hi plus? How did he come here? Feng Yujie asked. He was injured by the Prince Divine Lion's subordinates and almost died. Now that he has gone to the Lion King's tomb, he was born and bred by the Super God realm. As long as he wakes up his memories, he can go back and forth easily. You are answered Feng Yujie, but Chen Xiang didn't ask her how he got to Super God realm. Feng Yujie went over to Shui Bingyan's side and touched her beautiful little face, only to see Shui Bingyan giving a light smile. Elder sister, you're very charming, you almost captivated me. You're so amazing, you can actually see my hidden charm. Feng Yujie laughed. Bingyan, how old are you this year? Sister Feng, you have to take her to understand this world better in the future. She's very strong, and she killed one of the heavenly God silver lion in one fell swoop without even leaving a trace of her divine deity behind. Chen Xiang said. Feng Yujie was shocked. She never thought that Shui Bingyan was so strong that he could kill the other rankers in the God level in one go. However, she seemed so innocent and had even brought her here. Big sister, I don't know how old I am. I sleep a lot, and I don't know how long I sleep every time. Shui Bingyan puffed her cheeks as she tried to recall exactly how old she was, but she couldn't. She felt that she must have felt guilty not being able to give Feng Yujie a satisfactory answer. Seeing Shui Bingyan's beautiful face filled with shame, Feng Yujie did not expect her to be so conflicted over such a question, and anxiously laughed. It's all right, since you called me big sister, then you will follow me from now on. I won't let any bad people bully you. When she said that it was a bad guy, she shot a glance at Chen Xiang. Thank you, elder sister, you are so nice. Shui Bingyan smiled. Yue giggled. So the bad guys are here. Chen Xiang pinched Yue. You little kitten, how many more things are you trying to hide from me? Feng Yujie touched Yue's little head. Yue, you should be able to transform. As a member of the imperial family of Star and Crescent Beast, you should be able to transform very easily. I'm a beast race, and it's still very difficult for me to take human form. I also want to take human form as soon as possible, so I don't have to be pinched all day long like this. Yue helplessly said. Chen Xiang and Feng Yujie's relations. Hi plus P was already very close. He told Feng Yujie about how he met Shui Bingyan, and also about how he obtained the Dao Heartstone. Feng Yujie didn't know how dangerous the mission was, but she knew that Zhu Xiangyuan, the chief hall master of the Soul Hall, would give him such generous rewards. She knew that it would be extremely dangerous, but she blamed Chen Xiang for it. That ocean did not come from the Gods realm, but from the 9 heaven world. The 9 heaven world's circulation and growth speed have already exceeded my imagination, and I'm afraid not even the 9 divine kings would have expected it. Feng Yujie's words caused Chen Xiang and Yue to be extremely shocked. The majority of the sea water came from the 9 heaven world. Shui Bingyan had said it before, that the sea that was originally so big had suddenly grown big a while ago. Yue said. In that case, from now on, 9 heaven world will directly cross over to the Gods realm and fuse with it. That's right, so I'm worried that the 9 Gods nation will intervene. Feng Yujie said. If it really happened, it would be useless for them to intervene. The power of nature is not something they can defeat. At most they would just use their own strength to occupy the territory, but the Beast's divine palace would not allow them to do so. Yue said. Shui Bingyan listened quietly. She did not understand any of this, but it did not sound boring at all, and had made her enjoy listening to him. Furthermore, her mind was spinning very quickly, and throughout the entire journey, she had heard Yue and Chen Xiang talk about many things that happened in the outside world. Why doesn't Beast's divine palace allow them to do this? This was what Chen Xiang also wanted to ask. He didn't know either. Feng Yujie said. At that time, Beast's divine palace had promised 9 divine kings that he would protect the 9 heavens and prevent them from falling into the hands of 9 Gods nation. If they still kept this promise, Beast's divine palace would stop them at that time. The relations Hi+P between 9 divine kings and him was not just good. He had not just revived a large number of powerful divine beasts that had died years ago, there was still such an agreement. Yes, the 9 divine kings is a benefactor to the 4 divine beasts, and the Beast's divine palace is controlled by the 4 divine beasts. Yuer nodded. Yuer was one of the star and crescent beasts, and divine lion race was one of them. As Chen Xiang and the others were discussing, there was a knock on the door. Someone was knocking on the courtyard door. 3 Gu brothers had already left, while Luo Tianjun was still concocting pills in his isolation. As Chen Xiang and the others were discussing, there was a knock on the door. Someone was knocking on the courtyard door. 3 Gu brothers had already left, while Luo Tianjun was still concocting pills in his isolation. It's Elder Yi. When Chen Xiang sensed this aura, he started to worry. Previously, Yi Bidong said that he was called over by the divine nations, and it was very possible that it was for him. Chen Xiang hurried to open the door, seeing the serious look on Yi Bidong's face. He knew that he would not bring any good news. When Yi Bidong entered, he saw Feng Yujie and Shui Bingyan, who had just walked out, and was even more surprised when he saw Yuer, who was flying over. He did not expect that not long after he left, Chen Xiang had already brought 2 women along. Even Beast's divine palace's cat girl was brought in by him. Yi Bidong recognized Feng Yujie, so when he saw him, he nodded. Let's talk inside, Yi Bidong said. After entering the hall, Yi Bidong sat down and drank a few mouthfuls of the tea Feng Yujie brought over, then said, Overall, it's not too bad. Those divine nations already knew that you were in the Supreme Divine Palace, and they also planned to deal with you. Feng Yujie said, Elder Yi, how many powers have 9 Gods nation left in the Supreme Divine Palace? Yi Bidong was one of them. Chen Xiang was more curious about Yi Bidong's ident. 1. Tai, since he was on the side of the 9 divine kings, but those divine nations did not dare to do anything to him. They would even look for him to discuss things. Boxing Hall and Sword Hall are basically the same. Dan Hall and Soul Hall are both neutral, but I and a few elders are all biased towards 9 divine kings. Those 9 divine nations have very important matters to take care of right now, and they only have a little bit of concern for Chen Xiang. They won't use too terrifying power to deal with him, Yi Bidong said. But if the things they send out do not work out, they will draw their attention, so Chen Xiang does not have much time left. I think he will have to leave in at most 10 years. Chen Xiang replied, 10 years is enough time. Yi Bidong nodded his head. In 2 months it will be the Great Compet. 1 tie-in of the 4 great halls. At that time, the divine nations will send people over to supervise the compet. 1 tie-in because they will be selecting the most outstanding disciples from these compet. 1 tie-ins. Feng Yujie rolled his eyes and asked, Elder Yi, do the divine nations know about my situation? I want to take a look at the divine nations. The reason why Feng Yujie came here was to find an opportunity to investigate about the divine nations. As for Yi Bidong, he only knew a little. He could not stay in those divine nations often, so he did not even know about the details. You are not too much of a threat to them, and if they think that you are not bad, they still plan to recruit you into their divine nations. In their eyes you, the Gods of the 9th heaven, are nothing to them. Yi Bidong sighed. These divine nations do not care about the matters of the 9 divine kings anymore. This could only mean that these divine nations had become very scary. Even if they were to revive, it would not be a threat to them. Was even more curious about the 9 Gods nation now. To think that the 9 Divine Kings was actually so powerful, in his eyes, the 9 Divine Kings was a very powerful existence, he was only trapped, but now it seems that even if the 9 Divine Kings was released, they would still not be able to beat him. During the compet. 1. Tian, people from the divine nations will come and take a look at your situation. Ibidong warned her once again before leaving. This was only 2 months away. Although Ibidong said that the 9GODS nation did not plan to use her strongest power to deal with him, he was still very uneasy in his heart. When Chen Xiang returned to his room, he found Shui Bingyan and Yue playing around. Seeing Chen Xiang come back with a serious expression on his face, Yue asked, "What happened?" Yue, Sister Feng, in these 2 months, it would be best for you two to let Bingyan familiarize yourself with the human world as soon as possible. In case anything else happens, I might have to leave Supreme Divine Palace. Chen Xiang said, 9GODS nation might be making a move against me. Feng Yujie frowned. Elder Yi said that it's not that serious yet. Chen Xiang shook his head. Hard to say, because Elder Yi doesn't know about my situation. If those fellows sent by the 9GODS nation find out about my secret, it might be different. Chen Xiang gave Feng Yujie 8 million Shin Yuan stone. He wanted to buy some divine medicine as soon as possible during this period of time. I don't know what's going on with that Xiao, but he seems to have quite a few rare divine medicines on him. I've asked around before, not only did this guy sell them to me, he also bought quite a few precious divine medicines from him for other pills, including the 3 Gu brothers. Feng Yujie said, but he has never sold any divine medicines of the same kind. It seems like he does not know how to duplicate them. Speaking of which, Chen Xiang felt that Xiao seemed to have an ancient divine medicine garden. It seems like he will be the one to kill off the divine medicine this time. Chen Xiang laughed, then asked, Sister Feng, how is your improved Zhongping medicine? Your regeneration Dan was robbed from your business. Have there been any changes over these few days? I don't know what's going on with those guys, but they really sold the regeneration Dan very cheaply. Furthermore, there were quite a few regeneration Dan in their hand. Feng Yujie scoffed. I've seen these 2 guys before. They're both young and angry brats, and they even have some ill intentions towards me. Chen Xiang caressed Feng Yujie's face and laughed. Who asked Sister Feng to have such charm? When I refine the regeneration Dan that I modified, I will challenge these 2 little ghosts. Feng Yujie seemed to have made good progress. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so confident. At night, Chen Xiang and Feng Yujie rested below the earth room, while Yue and Shui Bingyan rested upstairs. The BASEMENT room was quite sp. Size, and setting up a bed was not much of a problem. Chen Xiang and Feng Yujie had been here for a month, and since they had returned, the 2 of them naturally had to get closer to each other. Furthermore, Feng Yujie had used some of his spirit pearls to replenish his energy. When he woke up in the morning, Chen Xiang had realized that Feng Yujie wasn't by his side. Feng Yujie had always woken up earlier than him, and when he arrived at the top, he discovered that Yue and Shui Bingyan weren't there either. Bingyan and Yue should have gone out with Sister Feng. Chen Xiang arranged his clothes. Just as he opened the door and walked out of the courtyard, he saw Xiao Chou walking over. Master! Xiao Chou shouted and quickly ran over. He had already found out from the Chief Hall Master that Chen Xiang had completed the mission order. Zhu Xiangyuan said that it must be kept a secret, but he felt that it shouldn't be a problem to tell Xiao Chou. It was because Xiao Chou was his disciple, that was why Xiao Chou knew about it. Master, how did you do it? Initially, he had thought that since he possessed the strength of a God beast, he would be stronger than Chen Xiang. However, he no longer dared to think like this, because even Zhu Xiangyuan, the Chief Hall Master, was unable to accomplish the mission that Chen Xiang had completed. Master, how did you do it? Initially, he had thought that since he possessed the strength of a God beast, he would be stronger than Chen Xiang. However, he no longer dared to think like this, because even Zhu Xiangyuan, the chief hall master, was unable to accomplish the mission that Chen Xiang had completed. It's just luck. That's what you came to find me for. Chen Xiang laughed. Didn't I give you 500,000 Xin Yuan stone last time? Master, now that you have over 10 million Xin Yuan stone, can you return that 500,000 to me? Xiao Chou laughed and said, I'm very poor now. Xiao Chou had thrown him a storage bag. After all, Xiao Chou was his disciple, so he could not be so stingy. Right now, he was not lacking anything, but the herbs that Feng Yujie was going to purchase were mostly very expensive, and the middle-grade mystical medicine that he had purchased previously had gone to 4 million Xin Yuan stone people. As for the bone-level Dan and Feng Yujie Shangpin Dan, they were definitely very expensive as well. Therefore, before Feng Yujie could refine a divine pellet that could allow him to earn a large amount of Xin Yuan stone, he had no choice but to continue refining more Xin Yuan stone. For the time being, you can keep it. When I'm lacking in the future, I'll come and ask for it from you. Chen Xiang laughed mischievously. Looking at your appearance, you don't usually spend Xin Yuan stone, do you? Of course I won't use it carelessly. Xiao Chou's face was full of dejection. He had a premonition that the 500,000 Xin Yuan stone would be taken away by Chen Xiang soon. Xiao Chou said, Master, grandfather told me that in the dangerous place between the sovereign God realm and the 6 paths of the Gods, there is a natural treasure trove of divine medicine. It is easy to find many Zhongpin medicine inside there. Aren't you lacking these right now? The grandfather that Xiao Chou spoke of was Zhu Xiangyuan. The reason Zhu Xiangyuan asked Xiao Chou to come to find him was precisely to pass this news to him. Do these people know? Chen Xiang looked around, afraid that someone would hear it. A few people know about it, but it's not easy to get there, so Master shouldn't have any problems. Xiao Chou suddenly lowered his voice. Master, that guy called Xiao frequently goes to that place. You and Master's wife frequently bought divine medicines, so this guy must have also killed you before. Chen Xiang's heart was moved. He had suspected that Xiao had discovered some kind of mysterious medicinal garden, and it was just as he had expected. It was just that that place was not a very mysterious place, it was just very dangerous. Xiao must have his own way of entering that place, which was why he was able to obtain some precious divine medicine from time to time. That fellow is currently extremely rich, and he is very mysterious. Although he only has the name of a God of heaven, his power should be even greater. Xiao Chou said, Master, if you have nothing else to do, you can go over there to take a look. Of course Chen Xiang had to go take a look. After he dismissed Xiao Chou, he went to the Supreme Hall, thinking that Feng Yujie would be there. They came in the morning and have already left. That girl said she is going out to purchase medicinal ingredient. The old man said to Chen Xiang, Elder, in the area where the 6 paths and a supreme being meet, is there a treasure land with a large amount of divine medicines? Chen Xiang asked. The old man knew a lot of things. He must be extremely knowledgeable. Yes, you want to go. The old man was no longer underestimating Chen Xiang. Give me some useful information. Chen Xiang nodded. I want to look for divine medicine inside. The old man took out a jade tablet and handed it over to Chen Xiang. It's all inside, but it's actually nothing much. There's a mysterious treasure ground there, and it's an independent SPAC, and it's relatively large inside, and there's even a definite amount of danger. Although there are many divine medicines, not everyone can find a lot, it requires a certain amount of luck. Chen Xiang returned from the Supreme Hall, and waited patiently in his room for Feng Yujie and the others to return. In the afternoon, Shui Bingyan and Feng Yujie returned, holding hands. I'm going out for a while. Yu Er is coming with me, Bingyan. You can stay here with Sister Feng. Chen Xiang said. Shui Bingyan treated Feng Yujie as if she were his own older sister. Feng Yujie also treated her very well. Today he brought her out to play in some small villages and bought her many good things. I will definitely listen to elder sister's words. Elder brother Shen, you don't have to worry about me. Shui Bingyan also understood why Chen Xiang was worried about her, because she currently did not know much about this world. On one hand, it was because she was worried that she would encounter a bad person, and on the other hand, she was worried that she would randomly use her terrifying strength. Leaving now? In such a hurry? Where are we going? Feng Yujie asked. Chen Xiang handed over the jade tablet to her, and showed her the contents inside. It was the jade tablet the old man had given him, and on it was the information about the divine medicine treasure land. After Feng Yujie finished reading, he said in pleasant surprise, that Xiao should be the divine medicine that we get from here. If we can find the divine medicine that we need from inside, then we don't need to buy it from that guy anymore. It's so dark that we can die. Chen Xiang nodded with a smile. Take good care of Bingyan, I will definitely return with a great harvest. Chen Xiang brought Yue and quickly left the Supreme Divine Palace. In the 6 hours after he left, it was almost dusk. Ibidong suddenly came with an ugly face. Where's Chen Xiang? Ibidong did not see Chen Xiang, so he asked Feng Yujie. He went out. It's already been a few hours. Elder Yi, is there anything you need from him? Feng Yujie asked. A while ago, he went to the Beast Divine Palace. The Beast Divine Palace sent a message over, telling us to investigate Chen Xiang and ask if he knew anything about a silver lion. Ibidong frowned. He did not know about Chen Xiang going to find Dao Heartstone. We'll have to wait for him to come back. He did leave for over a month. Feng Yujie knew, but she couldn't say it out loud. That silver lion was one of Prince Divine Lion's subordinates. If Prince Divine Lions knew, this kind of person who loved face would definitely come looking for her. Ibidong nodded his head. It shouldn't be related to him. Chen Xiang is only a little bit of strength now. I have seen that silver lion before. Even I have to use a bit more effort to deal with it. What more Chen Xiang? Feng Yujie smiled apologetically. That's right, Chen Xiang is still too weak now. He's basically nothing in this kind of place. Feng Yujie was now even more surprised at Shui Bingyan's strength. He had previously told her that Shui Bingyan had only killed the silver lion in an instant. He was chasing the B.U.T. turfly in the yard, just like a little girl. Then I will ask about it when he comes back. Beast Divine Palace will send people over later. I might need to find Chen Xiang and ask about it. Ibidong said as he walked out of the hall. When he said by the courtyard, he glanced at the Shui Bingyan who was playing around with him. He only knew that this was brought back from outside by Chen Xiang. Ibidong was also unable to see Shui Bingyan's true strength, which secretly allowed him to relax. That was why Chen Xiang had brought her along. If that treasure land truly had a large amount of divine medicines, he could have just brought Yue for a few laps and she would be able to sense them. That was why Chen Xiang had brought her along. If that treasure land truly had a large amount of divine medicines, he could have just brought Yue for a few laps and she would be able to sense them. Along the way, Chen Xiang did not encounter any legendary special G.O.D. beast. It was said that as long as they were far away from the Supreme Divine Palace, they would encounter some powerful special G.O.D. beast. If they did not have the strength to repel the special G.O.D. beast, it would be extremely dangerous. Chen Xiang became extremely vigilant on the road because the last time he left Supreme Divine Palace, there were already 2 G.O.D.s following him. Thinking back to the 2 sword halls heavenly G.O.D. Chen Xiang, he started to worry again. Because the elders of the sword hall had already targeted him and wanted to SNATC his G.O.D. murdering sword techniques, what made him more at ease was that the sword hall still had not investigated Zhang Zhu's cause of death. This way, they wouldn't suspect him anymore. Just as Chen Xiang thought that he was fortunate enough to not meet the special G.O.D. beast along the way, a bolt of lightning flashed before his eyes and struck his chest. He hurriedly dodged to the side in order to avoid the aura. It was extremely terrifying. If he did not dodge, he might have been injured. It's a lightning lion. It's a special G.O.D. beast. Yue cried out in alarm. This guy has some divine lion race blood in him, so he's considered very strong amongst the wild divine beasts. We need to be careful when facing him. The scariest thing is speed. Yue had just finished speaking when another bolt of lightning flashed past. This lightning lion's extreme speed was as fast as lightning. Chen Xiang was simply unable to see his appearance clearly. Chen Xiang felt that the lightning lion's most terrifying part wasn't its lightning-fast speed but his silent concealing ability. Otherwise, he wouldn't even have come in front of him. Chen Xiang dodged once again with teleportation. This allowed him to know that the human he was dealing with was not simple. He had stopped several hundred meters away from Chen Xiang at this moment. Chen Xiang had already clearly seen the lightning lion's appearance. It was a white lion, but it was not that big. It was just like a horse. Why is it white? Just as Yue was puzzled, a wondrous scene occurred. The originally snow-white lightning lion suddenly turned black. What surprised Chen Xiang and Yue was that the lightning lion suddenly disappeared after transforming into black and blue. Upon closer inspection, the lightning lion did not disappear. It was just that several colors had appeared on its body. Those colors were exactly the same as the surroundings, making it difficult to see it from a distance. It was an extremely clever disguise. In addition, with the lightning lion's terrifying concealment ability and speed, it would be difficult for her to survive if it were not for someone with hundreds of battle experience and quick reaction speed. And just now, Chen Xiang had felt such a threat. This guy isn't that strong, but his methods are very powerful. Chen Xiang's expression became serious. I can see that he's moving, but he doesn't need to worry. Yue transmitted her voice to Chen Xiang. The lightning lion let the color on its body change continuously, just like its surroundings. With its speed, it seemed like it was invisible. Chen Xiang knew where the lightning lion was moving, but he did not know where it was. He's getting closer and closer to you on the tree, Yue transmitted to Chen Xiang. This guy is very smart. If I wasn't there to attack you from above, you would probably have been injured by him by now. Although his body was relatively large, the trees here were all very ancient, giant tree lightning lioness. The fact that he did not even cause the slightest bit of a commotion while running up the tree did not make Chen Xiang feel any admiration. I must capture this fellow and subdue him. This was a thought that suddenly appeared in Chen Xiang's mind. Chen Xiang pretended to look around, letting the lightning lion think that he did not see him, and even took a few steps back and forth. Come on! Just as Yue shouted out, Chen Xiang had already accu mulat her strength and unleashed the fast and slow transformation within the 7 devil-slaying kung fu. It was not easy to hit him accurately with the lightning lion's speed, but to him, the lightning lion that had already changed from fast to slow after using the 7 devil-slaying kung fu would become extremely slow. Eat my fist! Chen Xiang shouted as his accu mulat 6 realms power fiercely smashed his fist towards the lightning lion's head. This punch was as though he could smash a mountain into the lightning lion's chin from the bottom to the top. Boom! A dull explosive sound burst out like a thunderclap. The true energy wave. The lightning lion was sent flying by this fist. After striking the lightning lion with his fist, Chen Xiang continued to use his 7 devil-slaying kung fu to continuously attack the lightning lioness. In Chen Xiang's eyes, it was still very slow, so he quickly caught up to it. The lightning lion had originally been sent into the air by him, but now, it was quickly hammered down to the ground by him. However, just as the lightning lion's body was about to smash onto the ground, Chen Xiang had already teleported to the ground and fiercely kicked its legs upwards, sending it flying high into the air. After repeating this process for more than 10 times, the lightning lion was no longer able to swallow a mouthful of blood. You think you can sneak attack me with your little ability? Chen Xiang heavily stepped on the lightning lion's head. The lightning lion really could not take Chen Xiang's terrifying 6 realms power. This 6 realms power, after being released by Chen Xiang using his mystical technique, combined with his own technique and technique, became even more terrifying. Has anyone forced him to become my mount? Chen Xiang asked. Without this lightning lion, he's not just a normal wild divine beast. He has a little bit of the divine lion race's bloodline and is also quite powerful. So, it's impossible for you to force him to form a contract with you, Yue said. Hearing that there was no other way, Chen Xiang raised his fist and was about to attack. So he's that afraid of death. He's willing to make a contract with you. Yue smiled coquettishly. Hurry up and tame him. Chen Xiang channeled the power of his soul into the lightning lion's divine deity and quickly made a contract. After that, the lightning lion would be his beast pet. After contracting with the lightning lion, Chen Xiang gave it a name of Little Lightning. What surprised him the most was that the lightning lion was only around 100 years old, which meant that it could be considered very young. Chen Xiang could also communicate with lightning lioness now. Little Lightning, do you know the place where the 6 realms meet? I heard that it's a treasure trove filled with divine medicines. Chen Xiang sat on Little Lightning's back. Master, I know where the place is, but it's a bit dangerous because all the human teams are stationed there. These small teams are very strong, so I have to avoid them if I meet them. They occupy many places there, and specially steal the divine medicine found by others. Little Lightning said, Master, are you sure you want to go now? Of course I'm not afraid of them. How long would it take for you to reach there? This was also the reason why Chen Xiang subdued the lightning lion. It was because his speed was very fast. Could save him a lot of energy along the way. We'll be there in 4 days, Little Lightning said. It was much faster than Chen Xiang had guessed. From the information that the old man had given him, most people would need at least 7 to 8 days to get there. If he were to use the spatial energy himself, it would probably take 2 to 3 days. However, it would consume a lot of 6 realms power, but it did not seem to put much pressure on the lightning lion. Let's go, Chen Xiang shouted. The lightning lion immediately ran up to become someone's mount. He could only concede that being alive was already pretty bad. The special God beast took the initiative to attack the humans. If they didn't kill the humans, they would be killed. At least he didn't lose his life now that he was tamed. The lightning lion's strength was not weak as well. Furthermore, their speed was so fast that they did not encounter any sneak attacks from other special God beast along the way. It's right in front. 4 days later, Little Lightning carried Chen Xiang on her back and stood on top of a mountain peak, overlooking the short mountain range below. It was a mountain range filled with countless short mountains. These mountains were filled with verdant trees that seemed to be filled with life force. From this peak, Chen Xiang could clearly feel the surge of life energy coming towards him, giving him a very comfortable feeling. This place was indeed a land filled with divine medicines. Let's go in, Chen Xiang said to Little Lightning. Because Yue had yet to sense anything, she needed to walk a few more rounds inside the cave. In a place like this outside, there definitely isn't any divine medicine. It looks like it's not only the disciples of Supreme Divine Palace and 6 Realms Divine Palace who are here to gather medicinal herbs, but also the disciples of other powers. I feel that the auras of many humans remaining here are all from different powers, and there are even some from our Beast Divine Palaces. Yue said, I can only sense us entering deep into the cave at night, so we should know a lot more about that place. Yue was a star and crescent beast. She could communicate with Xingyue. When she couldn't sense the divine medicine, she would wait until night before asking Xingyue. The little lightning carried Chen Xiang and rushed deeper inside until the stars came out at night before he stopped and slowly walked. Although the lightning lion's speed was not as fast as his full strength when he used the spatial shuttle, Chen Xiang was satisfied that he was able to reach such a speed even without using his own strength. Found it. It's on a nearby mountain. There's divine medicine there, Yue happily exclaimed. Hurry up and go. I'll tell you where it's located. Have little lightning get there quickly. After Chen Xiang obtained the exact location, he immediately commanded little lightning to rush over madly. Yue and Chen Xiang originally thought that they would be able to obtain the divine medicine very soon. Who knew that after they got closer, they would hear the sounds of fighting. To Chen Xiang, other people fighting was a good thing for him, so he could take this opportunity to leave. Purple Smoke Divine Mountain, you still want face? This divine medicine was clearly discovered by me first. Why are you saying it was yours with just a few words? A cold and furious voice caused Chen Xiang to be inwardly shocked. Because that voice belonged to none other than that Xiao. It's actually this guy. I need to continue watching. Chen Xiang stepped down from Little Lightning's back and used his Heaven Tour method to observe the scene. The fight had happened on top of a hill. The trees on top of the hill had already been leveled, and it made it easier for Chen Xiang to see the large amount of divine medicines. Those divine medicines were all of the same kind. There were at least 50 to 60 of them planted there like vegetables, shocking Chen Xiang. The divine medicines here were indeed just like mushrooms. Currently, there were 4 people standing in front of the divine medicine. They were dressed in purple clothes, and from the qi that they released, they seemed to be from upper heavenly God. It could be seen that they had already occupied the divine medicine. And when Xiao saw the furious expression on his face, she knew that he had been the one to discover the divine medicine first. We discovered it 3 years ago. It's just that we really have something to take care of. A man in purple sneered. You're a boxing hall, right? Don't think that just because you're a supreme divine palace we're afraid of you. You don't go too far. Xiao said angrily. This divine medicine has already matured over 10 years ago. If you discovered it 3 years ago, you would have long ago taken it and used it. Wait until now? These despicable fellows don't have any other abilities, but they are very powerful. You guys followed me like dogs for so long, and when I found this divine medicine, you guys just jumped out and said it was you guys. You even bit back at the famous disciples of the Purple Smoke Divine Mountain, and you actually did such a despicable thing? Xiao himself would definitely not be able to defeat the other party because the other party had 4 upper heavenly gods. If he could defeat them, he would not spout so much nonsense. Then how are we going to kill you? Who would know about this? A purple-clothed man laughed loudly. Killing intent surged. Chen Xiang, who had been observing this entire time, secretly rejoiced in his heart. He immediately used his spatial sensing to lock onto those divine medicines, then used his teleportation spell to instantly pull those dozens of blue flowers out of the ground. Who? The disciples of the Purple Smoke Divine Mountain immediately discovered it, but they did not see anyone use such a method. It was the first time they saw such a method, but they were all upper heavenly gods, so they knew immediately that this was someone who grasped the laws of SPAC. Supreme Divine Palace, Dan Hall, Chen Xiang. Chen Xiang had already left on his little lightning horse, but his voice still reverberated in the mountains. Chase were the disciples of several tens of rare Zongping Medicine S and Purple Smoke Divine Mountain S. How could they let others take them away? Although Xiao was shocked, he naturally knew who Chen Xiang was, but he did not feel angry at the moment. At least, these divine medicines had yet to fall into the hands of the disciples of the Purple Smoke Divine Mountain. A few disciples of the Purple Smoke Divine Mountain chased after Chen Xiang, but Xiao also followed after him. The other party messed up his good fortune, even if he could not defeat those disciples of the Purple Smoke Divine Mountain. He could not just let things go like that. The upper heavenly gods were all very strong, and by relying on the remnants of the Lightning Lion's Qi, they were able to chase after Chen Xiang. The upper heavenly gods were all very strong, and by relying on the remnants of the Lightning Lion's Qi, they were able to chase after Chen Xiang. This group of fellows have some ability, stop messing around and get rid of them. I'm worried that if this continues, I'll be caught by them. They are all upper heavenly gods, said. Chen Xiang nodded his head and used S.P. A.C. domain to cover Little Lightning, which would allow him to hide his spirit Qi. Then, he released a spatial door for Little Lightning to enter, far away from the place she was standing just now. After Chen Xiang used his spatial force, the few upper heavenly gods that were in hot pursuit suddenly stopped, because they did not sense any Qi left behind by Little Lightning and did not know how to chase after. We'll go back and take a look at them later. If these guys can't catch me, they'll definitely go deal with Xiao. When Chen Xiang was escaping just now, he had also sensed Xiao's aura and was closely following him from behind. Although he had been scammed by Xiao once, Chen Xiang still had a good impression of him. If not for Xiao selling the medicinal ingredients to him and Feng Yujie, they wouldn't have refined the medicinal ingredients that quickly. After all, those divine medicines were relatively rare. Xiao followed closely behind. He had originally thought that the gods of those Purple Smoke Divine Mountain would block Chen Xiang and clash with him. At that time, he would be able to sneak an attack from the chaos. However, the situation now was that Chen Xiang suddenly ran away. The upper heavenly gods thought that Xiao and Chen Xiang were together, and Xiao was still behind, so they chased after Xiao. If he fought alone, Xiao would definitely not be afraid of any of them. But if they attacked together, Xiao could only run away. How could this be? Chen Xiang ran off just like that. Xiao did not know of Chen Xiang's methods, which was why the development speed he saw was greatly different from what he imagined. If not, Chen Xiang would not have been forced to teleport to escape. Xiao did not have Chen Xiang's ability, so the pressure he was facing now was extremely great. Adding to the fact that he was extremely close to the gods, he was slowly being caught up to. Don't run. A man from the Purple Smoke Divine Mountain shouted coldly. He released a cloud of purple smoke and formed a formation, enveloping Xiao within. Xiao took out a black blade and crazily slashed several hundred times at the huge purple net that covered it. In an instant, this huge net that looked extremely sturdy was cut apart by streams of black blade energy, becoming purple smoke and dissipating. But at this time, the few upper heavenly gods had already surrounded Xiao. It was already too late for Xiao to escape. Only the appearance of your comrade will be able to save you. Otherwise, we will kill you. With how many divine medicines he head away from us, we will definitely take them back. It was obvious that he was the leader of this team. If he had obtained that batch of divine medicines, he would have shared more, but now all of them had been taken away by Chen Xiang. After all, this was something that Xiao had discovered first, and it was also because of him that Xiao had fallen into such a dangerous situation. He, Xiao, did not have any enmity with anyone, and so, he did not wish to see Xiao die because of him. He won't come back, but if you want to kill me, that's too naive. I'm not that easy to kill, so I'll tell you this. If you want me dead, one of you must accompany me in death. Do you want to see who has the worst luck? When Xiao said this, the few Purple Smoke Divine Mountain gods were secretly shocked. Xiao was not afraid of death. This made Chen Xiang, who was at the side, secretly admire him, the aura that he emitted from Xiao's body was completely influenced by him. Chen Xiang hid at the side and watched. He had already used the SPAC domain to envelop him and Little Lightning, so they were not discovered. Don't listen to his rumors. Kill him first. The man from Purple Smoke Divine Mountain shouted angrily, a purple sword appearing in his hand. A purple smoke surged, his eyes flashed a burst of purple light, and his entire body became like a purple shadow, instantly floating next to Xiao. The sword pierced out, fast and strange, because when he went over, his entire body seemed to be distorted, as if the reflection of water below the ripples of the water. As a result, it was very difficult to see where he was coming from, and he didn't even know which side he was attacking from. Xiao dodged, but he did not retaliate. When the purple sword pierced his body, he suddenly turned into a cloud of black mist and dispersed. This black mist was very dense, and the evil qi was very familiar to Chen Xiang. Previously, Xiao gave him a very familiar feeling, as if he knew this person. After Xiao turned into black mist, the other Purple Smoke Divine Mountain S immediately took action and released a translucent purple light barrier, enveloping the surrounding area. They were worried that Xiao would turn into black mist and escape. Chen Xiang was also trapped inside, but there was no restricted SPAC, so it was still easy for him to leave. The upper half of Xiao, who had turned into black energy, now had a human shape, and the lower half of his body was covered with black energy. In his hand was an extremely large black-colored long blade. "I'll fight you guys!" Xiao was furious. He was the one who suffered the most. The divine medicine was found by him the first. Who knew that he would encounter these villains who specially stole the divine medicine, but in the end, the divine medicine was obtained by Chen Xiang, and he had to take the beating for Chen Xiang. Xiao roared, his eyes turning black, looking extremely terrifying. The blade in his hand released a terrifying killing intent and evil aura. The ferocious black blade in his hand howled and slashed downwards, the black blade leaving behind a black afterimage. After Xiao unleashed this slash, he immediately dodged and continued to attack the other purple-clothed men. As for the purple-clothed man he had just hacked into, a black bloody wound appeared on his shoulder. The blood that flowed out was black, and the area where it split apart was extremely terrifying. It was emitting a thick pitch-black, boiling liquid. "This guy is very strange, you guys have to be careful. I'll deal with the wounds first. I'm worried that the injuries will continue to spread." The purple-clothed man who had been cut by the sword roared. Because they had seen Xiao's attack before, the other purple-clothed men were prepared, so Xiao's following slash did not succeed. Instead, he was surrounded and attacked by the other purple-clothed men. Chen Xiang had already silently approached the purple-clothed man who was injured by Xiao. The God slaughtering sword in his hand was held very tightly, and the 6 realms' power poured into the sword's body like a raging river. If it wasn't for Chen Xiang's SPAC domain, that aura would have definitely been felt by now. Seeing that Xiao was about to lose, the man in purple clothes had a sinister smile on his face. Because Xiao had injured him, he must get revenge properly later. Seeing that Xiao was about to lose, the man in purple clothes had a sinister smile on his face. Because Xiao had injured him, he must get revenge properly later. Don't kill him, don't let him die so easily. The purple-clothed man looked at the black blade mark on his shoulder and shouted angrily. Just as he finished shouting, Chen Xiang teleported behind the purple-robed man. The God slaughtering sword that was filled with 6 realms power pierced into the back of the man's head, and the 6 realms power inside the God slaughtering sword also exploded outwards, instantly destroying the man's divine sense C. Chen Xiang secretly sighed in his heart, because he did not control his strength well. With this strike of his, he had completely destroyed the man's divine deity and divine soul. When Chen Xiang teleported over, He brought SPAC domain along with him, so the energy fluctuations released by his attack did not leak out. However, his actions had already been noticed by others, and the other purple-clothed men had all seen Chen Xiang killing their comrade. This was no small matter. The few men in purple could have killed Xiao already, but they had all rushed over in fury. Chen Xiang released an illusion that remained where he was, while he himself had teleported to Xiao's side, grabbing the injured Xiao. He teleported far away from the place where the battle had taken place. Although he was already out of danger, Chen Xiang did not stop and continued to quickly teleport. The usage of this kind of spatial energy surprised Xiao. Now, he understood why Chen Xiang was able to escape his pursuit in an instant. Chen Xiang brought Xiao and ran frantically throughout the night. When it was daytime, Chen Xiang himself didn't even know where he had run to. All he knew was that they were very far away from the place where the big battle took place last night. They were by the side of a small stream, and Xiao was using the water to wash away the terrifying wounds on his body. Although he had not battled with the purple smoke divine mountain and the earth gods for long, his entire body was covered with injuries. Chen Xiang asked, "Is your divine soul injured?" Xiao shook his head. He did not speak the entire way, and after he finished treating his wounds, he took out some divine medicine and consumed it himself. Then, he took out a bottle of medicinal powder and smeared it on his wound. "Oi, do you want me to return those divine medicines to you?" Chen Xiang took out a blue flower and looked at it carefully. "What kind of flower is this? I don't know what it is." Xiao said, "I don't know it either, but it's a precious Zhongping medicine, and an ancient breed at that. Only the alchemist who has a deep understanding of ancient divine medicine know what it is. Do you want it or not?" Chen Xiang asked. "No." Xiao said straightforwardly, "You saved me, and then, this could have been yours." Chen Xiang nodded his head. Xiao wanted these ingredients to be used for sale. Moreover, he had quite a number of Shen Yuan stone. He did not lack these. "Where did you come from? Why do I feel a sense of familiarity? You shouldn't be born and bred in this super God realm." Chen Xiang said, if he was given a familiar feeling, then it was most likely from the Gods realm or his own nine heaven world. Xiao frowned. "I am indeed not from the super God realm, the only person who knows about this is me. How do you know?" Chen Xiang laughed. "Tell me about your origins, maybe I've heard of your name, because I'm not from the super God realm, I come from the nine heaven world." "Nine heaven world, how many years has it been?" "I came from that place as well, and was previously called Evil Emperor there. Now that I think about it, how laughable is it that even with my little strength, I dare to call myself Emperor," self-deprecatingly said. Presumably, he already knew how terrifying these divine nations' emperors were, which was why he had such a sigh. "It's actually Evil Emperor," Chen Xiang said in surprise. "I have heard of your name before. You and Chi plus are good friends, and I have also been to your evil divine palace." Chen Xiang being able to say so many things that were familiar to the evil emperor caused Xiao to be extremely surprised, and he also developed a sense of familiarity towards Chen Xiang. Xiao had always been an extremely solitary person. It was precisely because he came from the nine heaven world that he did not fit in with the rest of the people here. "That's right. You're able to enter my evil divine palace and come out safely. You're quite capable." Xiao nodded. "You know Chi plus." Chen Xiang chuckled. "Not only do we know each other, we are also good friends. Old Jiang, I recognize all of the Azure Dragon, Long Shui, and Ice Dragon." "Oh right, Chi plus is right here, but his condition isn't too good," Chen Xiang said. Back then, the relations Hi plus P between Evil Emperor and Hi plus was not ordinary, and they were both old friends. How many of them are still alive? Xiao sighed. All of these were just memories of the past. Back then, they were all extremely powerful figures in the Nine Heaven world, but in this place they were nothing. Both the super old fire beast and the Dan Emperor are dead. Chen Xiang said. The rest are basically still alive, they should all be in G.O.D.S. realm. With regards to life and death, Xiao seemed to have become indifferent. After knowing that the super old fire beast and the Dan Emperor had died, he could only let out a sigh and recovered. Hi plus is really here. Xiao's eyes were filled with excitement. After all, that was the good brother that he had shared a lifetime with. He's here, but he went to a very dangerous place. I can't go look for him now. Chen Xiang said, Thank you, Senior. If you want to find him, go and find out about him at Beast's Divine Palace. You won't be able to find him now. Xiao nodded, then patted Chen Xiang's shoulders. In the future, if you and that girl need any sort of divine medicine, come and find me first. As long as I have it, I'll definitely give it to you. Chen Xiang laughed. Then I shall thank Senior first. Senior, did you get all of those divine medicines from here? Xiao finally had a smile on his face. This was the first time Chen Xiang saw him smile. Yes, I have a special ability. I can feel the divine medicine, and every once in a while, I will come here for a walk, so I can often find some divine medicine. This precious land is very strange, and the divine medicine here will only take a short time to mature. Xiao said, It shouldn't be a coincidence that you were able to find these blue flowers, right? Chen Xiang only chuckled and did not reply. Xiao looked at Little Lightning. He remembered this lightning lion, but it was Chen Xiang's mount now. Previously, he had also been entangled by Little Lightning, and he was secretly surprised at Chen Xiang's capabilities. He did not really understand Chen Xiang that much, so he wanted to quickly meet Hi plus and get to know him better. Right now, he had already seen Chen Xiang's extraordinary abilities. Senior, if I kill that fellow, would that purple smoke divine mountain come knocking on my door? Chen Xiang asked worriedly. It would be better if they came, but I'd like to see what they say. Speaking of purple smoke divine mountain's bandits, Xiao felt angry in his heart. When Xiao said this, it was as if he had a very strong backer within the Supreme Divine Palace. When Xiao said this, it was as if he had a very strong backer within the Supreme Divine Palace. Have you gone back yet? Xiao looked around. Although he did not know where he was, he had a compass that could guide him back to Supreme Divine Palace. Chen Xiang shook his head. The reason he brought Yue here was to find the divine medicine he needed. Although he had already found a divine medicine, it was not what he needed. On the surface, it looks like the relations Hi plus P between the Six Realms Divine Palace and the Supreme Divine Palace is pretty good, but the disciples of the two shrines will often come into conflict with each other in secret, especially in this place. Su Yun said in a low voice. Xiao warned. Chen Xiang nodded. I understand, I'll come back later. Xiao's injuries had already healed. The divine medicine he brought with him had a strong healing effect, and his divine soul was not damaged at all. It's just that his physical body was rather serious, so he could return by himself now. After Chen Xiang said goodbye to him, he took out that blue-colored flower. This was a zhongping medicine, but he didn't know how effective it was. He plucked a petal and ate it. Originally, he had guessed that this blue color belonged to the category of healing wounds. However, after eating it, he felt that his stomach was very hot. Just by eating a petal, a terrifying energy quickly condensed in his abdomen. Because there was too much energy, this energy was compressed in his abdomen and continued to heat up, as if it was about to explode. Chen Xiang immediately channeled his divine arts to refine the medicinal power. Even though he could refine it, he still could not understand what kind of medicinal power it was, because it was not fire. Looks like if I want to practice the Six Realms power quickly, I can only rely on the six realms mirrors. Okay. Chen Xiang had always hoped to find a divine medicine that contained six realms power S, and after he refined it into a pill, the six realms power would become even purer and denser. Chen Xiang originally wanted to eat another pill, but when he thought about how he almost lost control of the situation earlier, he gave up. If he had tried to quickly use his cultivation technique to refine it, the pressure would have exploded on his stomach. Although it wouldn't have killed him, it would have left a big hole in his stomach. Return and let the pavilion master take a look. Chen Xiang kept the blue flower, and then ran in one direction. Yue could only communicate with Xing Yu at night to find out where the divine medicine was located, so Chen Xiang could only madly run about. Little Lightning was a special G.O.D. beast with a stronger spiritual sense. Chen Xiang could ride on his back and relax a lot more. Firstly, his speed was very fast, and if he met a strong beast, he could sense it and then take a detour. It wasn't even night yet when, who was flying far away from the village, suddenly saw a small village. This made him very shocked, as a village like this actually existed in this kind of place. Little Lightning, you should enter for a while. Chen Xiang allowed Little Lightning to enter the ring, and after teleporting a few times, he arrived outside the village. He used his divine soul to take a look around. This village was relatively large, and there were a few thousand people. Right now, it was extremely lively inside. What village is this? Chen Xiang walked in. There was an intersection here, but no sign of what kind of village it was. Once he entered the village, Chen Xiang felt a few auras that he was very familiar with. These auras were from the upper heavenly GODs from before. Sensing these auras, Chen Xiang immediately changed his appearance. After confirming that his own aura would not leak out, he continued to walk into the bustling place in the depths of the village. The villagers in the village had all built tree houses. They lived on the trees, and they also built mansions on the ground that were rented out for people to live in. The villagers gathered here should be regular people who enter this treasured land to gather divine medicine. I found out that the villagers here are all special, they don't seem like humans, and they all possess very strong strength. Could they be the legendary GRASS Wood Elves? Yue sent a sound transmission to Chen Xiang. If that's really the case, then this GRASS Wood Elves can be said to be a rather terrifying force to this Super GOD realm. This was the first time Chen Xiang had heard of this GRASS Wood Elves. Why are they so terrifying? They can actually become a great power in this Super GOD realm. Chen Xiang was very suspicious of this, although there were many people in the village, but there were very few aboriginals, and these GRASS Wood Elves seemed to only have a few hundred people. GRASS Wood Elves, they can absorb the power of plants and vegetation for their own power, and they are good at growing them. Of course, this is not the most terrifying thing about them. Their true strength lies in their ability to control plants and vegetation, and the ability to turn large trees into terrifying monsters. Yue replied, according to the legends, a single GRASS Wood Elves is able to control 100 million trees. It's extremely powerful. Chen Xiang did not think much of it. How can you control trees? It's very easy to destroy trees, even if it's over 100 million, to other experts of the heavenly GOD level, it's not very scary. Yue snorted. You have to know, after they control the trees, they can absorb the power of the other plants and infuse it into the trees they control. You must know how many flowers, plants and trees there are in the Super GOD realm, right? Those ancient trees have been growing for 1,000,000 years, or even 10 million years. They contain an extremely terrifying power within them, and once they are released, they are not inferior to the GOD of profound GOD. If we borrow strength from other plants and flowers, they will become even more frightening. Fortunately, the GRASS Wood Elves clan are quite gentle and do not have the intention to wage war, so we do not need to be too worried about such a thing happening, we just do not need to provoke them. Chen Xiang would definitely not provoke such a fellow. Right now, he only wanted to understand the location of this village, and he could come here by himself in the future. Walking on the road, Chen Xiang saw that many people were doing business here. The aboriginals here were also selling some divine medicines, but they were all low-leveled and of poor quality. He entered a wooden pavilion that was 5 stories high. Just as he entered, he saw the gods of the Purple Smoke Divine Mountain, who were sitting on the first floor, drinking a kind of green liquid. Chen Xiang walked over to the counter and asked. He then realized that this juice was unique to this place. It required 100 Shen Yuan stone to drink a cup, and had the effect of awakening one's spirit, quickly removing the fatigue in one's body. Many people who came here drank this, and even drank quite a few cups. Chen Xiang came to a table and ordered 2 cups. After drinking one, he immediately became energetic, as though he had just rested. His body was initially a little tired, but now it had been completely eliminated. Other than that, Chen Xiang also saw a kind of white juice. It was used for healing. A big man with wounds all over came in just now. After he drank a cup, the wounds on his body quickly recovered. The reason why Chen Xiang sat there drinking was to find out what the gods of the Purple Smoke Divine Mountain were doing, and to find out what kind of plans he had. See 1969. See 1969. About an hour later, a man walked into the inn. After entering, he directly went to the tables of the purple-clothed men from Purple Smoke Divine Mountain and sat down. You came pretty fast, a purple-robed man said. This purple-clothed man was the leader of several people and was also a bit strong. The person you wanted me to investigate has already been investigated by me. He is indeed from our Supreme Divine Palace, and he is also a relatively capable fellow. He is an alchemist, and he is also in the 10th hall of the Dan Hall, capable of refining shopping Dan. The man replied, I'm also from the Dan Hall, but I'm in the 3rd hall. Compared to the 10th hall, our 3rd hall is a little lacking. It's mainly because the 10th hall master is too powerful. Chen Xiang was shocked. This man was actually from the Supreme Divine Palace, and he was even from within the Dan Hall. He should be one of those legendary young alchemists. Where's the other guy? The purple-robed man asked. He does not have any backing. If you guys want to go to the Supreme Divine Palace to find Chen Xiang, then you should carefully consider it, because the 10th hall master is very scary. The disciple from the 3rd hall said. Zhanshi, how about we make a deal? You think of a way to lure that brat out. As long as we can successfully lure him to the place we specified, we can give you some benefit. Zhanshi smiled slightly. That's not a problem. You are willing to pay with 50 million Shen Yuan stone? 50 million Shen Yuan stone was not a small number, but the purple-clothed man readily agreed. Chen Xiang secretly remembered the name Zhanshi. He was secretly furious in his heart. This guy actually wanted to sell him off, since he already knew, at that time, he would definitely not be fooled. You guys might want to wait because in another 2 months it will be the compet. One tie-in of our Supreme Divine Palace. As you all know, after that, I will lure him out, Zhanshi said. As they spoke of the later matters, they felt that they were more important and left the inn. Chen Xiang had already obtained something useful, and he did not stay for long. Walking out of the inn, he continued to stroll around the village, wanting to see if there were any divine medicines that he needed. Walking along the road, he suddenly saw a familiar face on top of a booth. He immediately walked over. Old Granny. Fei Fei, how is she? The familiar person that Chen Xiang saw was Su Lingfei's grandmother, the old man who sold him the god root before. Chen Xiang had changed his appearance before, but the old granny quickly responded when she heard Chen Xiang's question. She smiled benevolently. She's doing very well right now. Old Granny, aren't you accompanying her? Will she be lonely by herself? Chen Xiang also laughed. He looked at the divine medicines on the old man's stall, and saw that they were all ordinary low-grade divine medicines. At first, Fei Fei cried really hard, but in the future, she will get used to it. Sometimes, she has to steel her heart and let Fei Fei get used to this kind of life, otherwise, when I leave, what will she do? The old man chuckled. Young man, what divine medicine do you like? I'll give it to you. Chen Xiang shook his head. No, what I need is Zhongping medicine. I really did not expect to meet you here. The old man laughed. This place is my hometown, so I will be very safe here. When Fei Fei has the time in the future, she will also return here. This was her homeland. Didn't that mean she was the GRASS Wood Elves? Which meant that Su Lingfei was one too. But Chen Xiang was still suspicious. If this old man was really GRASS Wood Elves, then her strength should be very strong. At that time, Su Lingfei would not have been captured by Zhang Zhua's group. Granny, I heard that the people here are all very powerful. They don't look like one. Chen Xiang asked with suspicion. I used to be very powerful, but due to some incident I became very weak. At that time, I was in a bad mood too, so I took Fei Fei and left this place. The old man sighed, his eyes filled with grief. Chen Xiang did not pursue this matter any further. After all, this was someone's problem. My old man is back. He's great. If I met him earlier, I might not have been bullied anymore. The old man looked at the back of Chen Xiang and revealed a warm smile. It was obvious that the old man she spoke of was the companion she had just found. When Chen Xiang turned around, his jaw almost dropped. That old man was actually his master, Huang Jintian. Huang Jintian looked at Chen Xiang in shock. He felt it was a little strange, because Chen Xiang had disguised himself and was hiding his presence. Little Red, who is this little demon? Huang Jintian laughed as he walked over. At the moment, he did not have a sloppy appearance, but looked to be very energetic. Master, it's me. Chen Xiang smiled mischievously. Congratulations, Master, you're no longer single. This time, it was Huang Jintian's turn to be stunned. In the past, he was the one who sneakily went to Chen Xiang's side, but now it was Chen Xiang's turn. D.A.M.N. brat. Seeing Chen Xiang, Huang Jintian could not help but start talking loudly, slapping towards Chen Xiang's head, as though Chen Xiang was always slapping Xiao Chao's head. Old man, how can you hit someone? This guy saved Fei Fei and me before. When the old granny saw Huang Jintian hitting Chen Xiang, she immediately became anxious and ran over, wanting to reprimand Huang Jintian. Huang Jintian curled his lips. He's my disciple. I taught him since he was young to draw his sword to help when facing injustice. He should have saved me. The old granny could not understand why they would become master and disciple upon seeing each other, but after thinking for a while, she finally understood why Chen Xiang and Huang Jintian had already known each other for a long time. Chen Xiang muttered in his heart, Huang Jintian had only taught him a few tricks back then, teaching him how to trick people and so on. She's your mistress, hurry up and call her. Huang Jintian laughed. Greetings, mistress. Chen Xiang immediately bowed. Little Honger, let's pack up and talk when we get back. Huang Jintian walked over and helped put away the stall, then he took Chen Xiang and the old granny and left. That old granny's name was Yao Xiaohong, and they got to know each other a month ago. At that time, Yao Xiaohong had just returned from the heavenly G.O.D. basin and met with danger on the way, so Huang Jintian was the hero who saved the beauty. The two of them fell in love at first sight and in the end they became a pair. Huang Jintian proudly talked about how he had defeated those few powerful special G.O.D. beasts along the way. Chen Xiang had said before that the undead race's calamity was extremely terrifying. Huang Jintian had said through it a few times previously, but he had not succeeded in overcoming it, so it caused his memory to be lost and his cultivation to become crippled. If he could pass through the calamity that was about to befall upon him, then he would be able to obtain the memories he had lost before. To me, there is only one sentence. The update speed is 10 times faster than the other stations, so there is not much advertising. To me, there is only one sentence. The update speed is 10 times faster than the other stations, so there is not much advertising. Chen Xiang came to Huang Jintian's residence. The small house was far away from the bustling village, so it was relatively quiet. This was not Huang Jintian's residence, but rather Yao Xiaohong's old granny's place that she grew up in. This village was the gathering place of the GRASS Wood Elves, Yao Xiaohong. She grew up here. She wandered around for a long time outside before returning to this place once more. Huang Jintian had entered the Supreme Divine Palace with Chen Xiang, but Huang Jintian did not join the Supreme Divine Palace. Instead, he chose to explore the Super God realm. However, from the looks of him, it seemed as if he was planning to settle down. Chen Xiang took a sip of the fruit juice Huang Jintian had poured for him. It was extremely fragrant and sweet. "Master, your great calamity." Just as Chen Xiang finished speaking, he gave Huang Jintian a fierce glare because he did not want the wife he had just met to know about this matter. Huang Jintian sent a sound transmission to Chen Xiang. "Don't worry about me, isn't it just a calamity? When we get here, I'll definitely be able to get through it. Don't tell this old woman that if she finds out, she'll definitely worry about me every day." Chen Xiang chuckled, indicating that he also hoped that Huang Jintian could pass through that great tribulation. He felt that suddenly becoming a pair with this old granny might allow him to have more confidence in transcending this great tribulation. "You brat, aren't you fine inside the Supreme Divine Palace? Why are you running out now? Why don't you just hide inside and not stir up any trouble?" Huang Jintian poured another half a bowl of that delicious fruit juice for Chen Xiang. Yao Xiaohong was outside, sweeping the floor and humming a small tune. Although she looked like an old lady at this moment, she gave off a very young feeling. Chen Xiang sipped that fruit juice. Although it was good, he was unwilling to drink it all in one gulp. "I'm going to look for the Divine Medicine Master. Just what kind of fruit juice is this? So delicious." Huang Jintian put away the bottle. "This kind of divine fruit is something that I traded my life for. Don't think about drinking it all." Chen Xiang laughed. "Just give me a small piece of that divine fruit." When Huang Jintian saw Chen Xiang's smile, he knew that if he didn't give it to him, Chen Xiang would never stop. He just needed to cut a small piece for Chen Xiang. "Brat, you better stay inside the Supreme Divine Palace for me. I feel like something big is going to happen to you. When I'm bored, I'll help you predict the future," Huang Jintian warned repeatedly. "Master, you don't need to tell me that I already have this kind of premonition. In fact, even if I stay in Supreme Divine Palace, I probably won't be able to avoid it." Chen Xiang sighed. Huang Jintian knocked on Chen Xiang's head. "Are you trying to stir up some trouble again?" Chen Xiang rubbed his head and muttered, "Master, these divine nations are after me because I have the God murdering sword techniques on me. Some time ago, Ibidong was called to divine nations to interrogate me, and he said that in another month or so, those divine nations will send people over to attend our compet. One Tian." Huang Jintian knitted his brows as he paced back and forth in the small hall. He seemed to know a bit about the affairs of the divine nations. There's still more than a month before the compet. One Tian begins. It's just as I predicted. It's alright, how could you find it out? Chen Xiang curled his lips. Huang Jintian took out his copy of the Tianyanji record and started flipping back and forth as he muttered to himself, "No, something big must have happened. What kind of big event is it? I can't even calculate what's going on with the heaven extended method anymore." Chen Xiang was also very curious. He said, It can't be the Supreme Divine Palace's large compet. 1. Tian, right? This can also be considered a huge matter. Huang Jintian shook his head. It's definitely not my calculations. The biggest things that happen in the future are all related to how the world works, and this matter seems to be related to you. Because I've calculated it from you since the very beginning. So strange. Chen Xiang couldn't understand what would happen in a month's time that would affect the operation of the world. No matter how much trouble he caused, he wouldn't be able to do such a thing, right? Yao Xiaohong came back from the outside, and when she saw that Chen Xiang's cup was already under her control, she scolded him. Old man, why aren't you pouring food for him? Why are you not walking around? Yao Xiaohong saw that Huang Jintian was frowning as if he was thinking about something important, and did not continue talking about it. Instead, she took out a small bottle and poured some juice into it before smiling benevolently at Chen Xiang. Young people should drink more so that they can have the strength to exterminate evil. Chen Xiang smiled as he took a sip before repeatedly praising the fruit juice. He finally understood why Huang Jintian was so precious now. Master, I'm leaving first. I still have to go find some more divine medicines. Chen Xiang shouted at Huang Jintian after he finished drinking the fruit juice. Huang Jintian was walking back and forth as if he was performing some kind of trick with his heaven extended method. When he heard Chen Xiang say that he was going to leave, he casually said, "Let's go. Be careful on the road." After Yao Xiaohong saw Chen Xiang out of the door, she exhorted him with a few sentences that she was very concerned about Chen Xiang and treated him like a grandson. Chen Xiang's heart felt warm when he felt the elders care for him, and then he walked toward the direction Yao Xiaoxiao pointed in. Yue left the village and said, "That old granny is not bad. However, she seems to have already lost her strength. Otherwise, she would not be so old. She must have experienced terrifying things. Luckily, she still maintains a high level of talent as a GRA. Wood Elves. She should be able to sense some divine medicines and know where they are easily." Now, Chen Xiang understood why Yao Xiaohong could possess some of the more precious divine medicines. It turned out that she had this kind of ability. Even though he was far away from the village, Chen Xiang still did not let Little Lightning out. Because he was worried that if he met the gods of those purple smoke divine mountainess, they would not be able to recognize him, but he could recognize Little Lightning. When he left Yao Xiaohong's home, he had once asked this elder about this place and found out that it was still a precious divine medicine. As long as he was lucky, he would be able to find a precious divine medicine here. Chen Xiang carried his backpack and walked alone in the middle of the ancient forest. When the sun went down, the forest inside the ancient forest would emit strange sounds due to the cold wind and rustling of leaves. Adding to the thick clouds in the sky tonight, the ancient forest was extremely dark, which made it seem somewhat eerie. This forest doesn't have any glowing flowers or plants. It's really dark. From afar, a grumbling voice could be heard. As Chen Xiang was walking along, he suddenly heard someone speaking. This was what he wanted to say, but what surprised him was that he was familiar with this voice. If he remembered correctly, this person's name was Zhan Shi, the young alchemist of the third Dan Hall that he met in the inn. Friendly prompts. This book, the first update website, Baidu. Please search. Friendly prompts. This book, the first update website, Baidu. Please search. Chen Xiang was eavesdropping on the conversation between Zhan Shi and the few purple smoke divine mountain gods. After the compet. 1. Tian, Zhan Shi had promised those purple smoke divine mountain gods that he would think of ways to lure Chen Xiang out and kill him. This Zhan Shi seemed to have a refined appearance. He did not seem to be one of those evil villains. Yet, he actually colluded with other forces to kill his own people. Chen Xiang never thought that he would actually meet this Zhan Shi here. This caused killing intent to rise from his heart. Although it was dark in the middle of the night, Chen Xiang and Zhan Shi were both gods. Even in the night, they could still see things clearly. Brother, I think you must have just come out from the ancient village? I also just left that village, Zhan Shi said with a smile. Chen Xiang also laughed back. That's right, may I know where this friend is from? Zhan Shi came over to Chen Xiang's side. Seeing that Chen Xiang did not ask him amicably, he relaxed his guard and laughed. I am your brother from 6 Realms Divine Palace. Chen Xiang laughed coldly in his heart. Zhan Shi was obviously from the Supreme Divine Palace, but when he heard Zhan Shi's words, he pretended to be surprised and said, It's really not easy to meet 6 Realms Divine Palace's disciples. Zhan Shi laughed indifferently. Absolutely true, I am a disciple of the 6 Realms Divine Palace. I never lie to you, my friend. I am from Supreme Divine Palace. Chen Xiang did not hide his name, and he boldly said it. My name is Chen Xiang and I am the Dan Hall. I have just joined the Supreme Divine Palace, and do not know much about the 6 Realms Divine Palace, but I am very interested in it now. Zhan Shi was dumbstruck. He had just walked on the road, and was thinking about how he could befriend Chen Xiang, and lure him out to Purple Smoke Divine Mountains D of Heaven to kill him. But now, Chen Xiang was right in front of him. He had also seen Chen Xiang's portrait in the Supreme Divine Palace, but he did not expect that Chen Xiang would so casually reveal his name and background to a stranger, even though he was not very deep into the world. Chen Xiang did this on purpose to embarrass Zhan Shi and see what methods he would use in the Supreme Divine Palace to trick him into letting others kill him. Just as Chen Xiang was feeling proud in his heart, Zhan Shi's next words made him secretly curse. So it's Brother Shen. I've long heard of your great name. To tell you the truth, I'm actually the 3rd Hall's Zhan Shi. I just said that I'm from the 6 Realms Divine Palace, and that I'm actually here to protect myself. It's because there are some people around here who are not friendly with the Supreme Divine Palace, so please forgive me. Zhan Shi did not find it strange that such a cunning person like Zhan Shi had such a thick skin. That was the most basic of quality. So it's the young disciples of the 3 halls. I heard the hall master say that today's reputation is indeed worthy of its reputation. Chen Xiang laughed. Brother Zhan, you are talking about exiting the sect with great care. I was being careless just now. Shouldn't you tell me your real name and background? I still have to thank Brother Zhan for the reminder. Zhan Shi did not know if what Chen Xiang said was true or not, but from the few gods in Purple Smoke Divine Mountain, he found out that when Chen Xiang stole the blue divine flowers, he immediately revealed his name, so Zhan Shi thought that Chen Xiang should be rather high profile. Brother Shen, where are you going now? Do you want to return to the Supreme Divine Palace? Zhan Shi seemed to hope that Chen Xiang could return to the Supreme Divine Palace quickly, so that he could carry out the plan to lure Chen Xiang to the purple-clothed men and kill him. Chen Xiang was naturally aware of Zhan Shi's schemes. He said, I had originally planned to return, but I knew that there was a type of divine fruit that was said to be a Shangpin medicine nearby. I planned to look for it first before returning. Hearing that the high-grade divine fruit, Zhan Shi's eyes flashed with a faint light. In the dark night, Chen Xiang caught sight of signs that this greedy and treacherous person was taking the bait with a single glance. Zhan Shi immediately became serious. Brother Shen, is the information you received accurate? I bought it from a young man in the village. That's what he said anyway. Chen Xiang said, I used 10,000 Shin Yuan stone anyway, so it's not a lot. Anyway, we might as well take it as luck to come to this divine medicine trove. Zhan Shi also clearly knew what kind of village it was. All the GRAS wood elves and other GRAS wood elves had a type of power that allowed them to sense the location of the divine medicine. Thus, he felt that although what Chen Xiang said should be true, it would not be easy for them to find the high-quality divine fruit. With a quick thought, he thought of an ingenious plan and said to Chen Xiang, Brother Shun, it is very likely that you have been tricked. The villagers in the village can know where the divine medicine is, but they can also sell it there many times. Hearing Zhan Shi's request, Chen Xiang secretly thought for a while and understood what Zhan Shi was trying to do. Zhan Shi did not want him to make up those high-grade divine fruits, but was looking for an opportunity to set up a trap for him. Chen Xiang said, "All right." Afterwards, Chen Xiang truthfully said some things. Of course, Yue taught him these things, and Yue understood divine medicines very well. Only by doing this would she be able to deceive Zhan Shi. After Zhan Shi finished listening, he pretended to be very serious and attentive as he took out a jade tablet, handing it over to Chen Xiang. "Brother Shun, take this well." Chen Xiang nodded his head and took the communication jade symbol paper. "No problem, thank you, Brother Zhan. If I find you, I will inform you too." Zhan Shi laughed and patted Chen Xiang's shoulders as he patted him on the shoulder. "It's best if we don't go too far away from this forest. Otherwise, we won't be able to contact each other if we go too far away from the place that the youth has told us to go." Chen Xiang pretended to be oblivious and nodded his head heavily. Zhan Shi greeted Chen Xiang and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Chen Xiang immediately sent a sound transmission to Yue and laughed. "This guy is most likely going to find those purple smoke divine mountains G.O.D.S. Chen Xiang had originally planned to kill this Zhan Shi after the large compet.I.Tian, but he had met him now, and this Zhan Shi seemed to not be merciful to him, so Chen Xiang steeled his heart, and did not care about anything else. Chen Xiang had originally planned to kill this Zhan Shi after the large compet. 1. Tian, but he had met him now, and this Zhan Shi seemed to not be merciful to him, so Chen Xiang steeled his heart, and did not care about anything else. "Yue, can you find any place with a G.O.D. fruit?" Chen Xiang was also planning on how to kill Zhan Shi. He did not know how strong Zhan Shi was right now, so he could not recklessly clash with Zhan Shi. If Zhan Shi returned to Supreme Divine Palace alive, it would bring him a lot of trouble. Thus, in order to have a 100% chance of killing Zhan Shi, he had to use other methods to ensure that there wasn't a drop of water that leaked out. Although it was night, the starlight was concealed by the thick clouds, and the starlight could not penetrate the clouds. Chen Xiang was worried that Yue was unable to communicate with the stars and moon, and could not find the divine fruit. "When I communicated with Xing Yue, the information they gave me was not from today. It was from a few days ago, or even a few years ago, or perhaps even more." Little Moon smiled. "I've already asked around. There's a fruit tree nearby. Because this tree looks rather ordinary and its location is rather remote, it wasn't discovered." Yue had told him about the middle-grade divine fruit that Chen Xiang had just described to him. Now that he thought about it, Yue had long since found that fruit tree. "Let's set up the trap first and then call that guy over." Yue laughed. She had also guessed Chen Xiang's plan. Chen Xiang followed the direction Yue pointed, and quickly arrived at the location of the tree. The place where the tree grew was indeed very remote, and even though it was very close to the village, it was not discovered. Although this fruit is a high-grade divine fruit, its main purpose is to be eaten. It is not suitable for alchemy. Yue said. Chen Xiang entered through a crack in the mountain. After arriving inside, the crack had become much wider, large enough for a few people to walk in side by side. There were also many poisonous thorns blocking the crack, so it had not been discovered. Using 6 realms mirrors to set up traps is for the best. Go and see if the 6 realms mirrors has this kind of effect. I heard our patriarch in Star Moon Divine Race mention that 6 realms mirrors have this kind of ability. Yue said. Chen Xiang did not notice that even though he had merged with the 6 realms mirrors, he did not have a lot of understanding of it, and would need to excavate a bit. He silently blamed this 6 realms mirrors, and should have told his master about his abilities when it was time to fuse with it. He could feel the 6 realms mirrors in his body, the mysterious communication between them, and soon he knew how to use this ability. This 6 realms mirrors is really magical. To think that it has this kind of power, I actually didn't know about it before. Chen Xiang took out the 6 realms mirrors, and with a thought, he activated the 6 realms mirrors killing array ability. At this time, more than half of the 6 realms power in his body was taken away. Yue was pleasantly surprised. Does it really have this ability? Besides killing arrays, there are also other formations? After absorbing a large amount of 6 realms power S, and adding the one stored in the mirror, the 6 realms mirrors in Chen Xiang's hands already possessed a very strong 6 realms power. At this moment it flickered with a white light. Following Chen Xiang's mental control, the white light exploded, turning into a killing array formed by the spirit grain, and seeped into the stone walls and ground on both sides of the mirror. There are only a few that I can use now. Although there are a few other powerful formations, my current 6 realms power cannot support them. Chen Xiang's 6 realms mirrors also left his body and sunk into the ground. He was not worried that the 6 realms mirrors would be head away by others because he only needed a thought to allow the 6 realms mirrors to travel through and return to his body. After plusing all this, he immediately took out the communication jade symbol paper that Zhan Shi had given him and sent a message to Zhan Shi. Brother Zhan, I've already found that divine fruit. I'm not familiar with it enough, and I don't know if this is the time to pick it. The moment Zhan Shi saw the village, he suddenly received Chen Xiang's sound transmission and couldn't help but be suspicious. However, he didn't really understand Chen Xiang well enough, so he thought that Chen Xiang was a guy who liked to show off his simple brain. After knowing that Chen Xiang had found a divine fruit, Zhan Shi was hesitant. He wanted to immediately look for Chen Xiang or first look for the purple smoke divine mountains divine gods. If Chen Xiang really could find the divine fruit, and if he went over with those purple smoke divine mountain gods, he would definitely share the divine fruit with them. In his heart, he did not want to know too, that it was a high-grade divine fruit. Even if it was inferior in quality, it would sell for a lot of Xin Yuan stone. After struggling in his heart for a while, Zhan Shi still decided to believe in Chen Xiang. Because he felt that Chen Xiang trusted him a lot, he didn't think that Chen Xiang would lie to him. Chen Xiang waited for less than an hour within the crevice before he sensed that someone was outside. Zhan Shi had arrived, and even though he was near, Zhan Shi did not leak out any of his aura, showing just how cautious he was. When Zhan Shi came here and saw the many poison vines outside that had been eradicated, he knew that the crack in the mountain was well hidden. That was why he did not get discovered after so many years. It was very possible that there were divine fruits growing inside. After arriving at this place, Zhan Shi became even more careful. He was still extremely vigilant, and after walking through a narrow crevice for a while, he finally arrived at Sias place. As expected, he saw a tree. There were more than 10 topaz-like fruits on the tree. Although it was in the dark night, they emitted a faint yellow light, and these fruits were exquisite and transparent. One could see the core of the fruit. It was exactly as Chen Xiang had said, and it was obvious that they were ripe. Brother Zhan, you've finally come. Do you know what kind of fruit this is? I don't know what kind of fruit this is. It doesn't look like it can be used to refine pills. Chen Xiang laughed when he saw Zhan Shi. At the moment, he was casually sitting on the ground, leaning on a mountain wall. This is the mystic yellow god fruit. It is indeed not suitable for alchemy, but it is still extremely delicious. When the fruit core is immersed in the god's water, it can produce a very delicious and fragrant mystic yellow fruit juice. Zhan Shi's eyes lit up. These 10 odd profound yellow divine fruits and this tree were all extremely precious in his eyes. A wave of greed suddenly rose up from his heart. Zhan Shi was a very greedy person in the first place, otherwise, He wouldn't have risked agreeing to the purple smoke divine mountain's deities to lure Chen Xiang out. If the Supreme Divine Palace found out that he had colluded with an outer sect to harm a fellow sect disciple, the consequences would be extremely serious. However, Zhanshi was willing to take such risks just for the sake of tens of millions of Xin Yuan stone. One must know that the matter of him betraying Qin Xiang and the gods of those purple smoke divine mountain knew that they would very likely leak it out, so the risk was extremely high. Zhanshi lowered his head and took out a storage bag, and the moment he did so, his eyes became sinister and fierce, but it was only for a moment, and he took out a jade pot. He smiled at Qin Xiang. "Brother Shun, you must have expended a lot of effort when you came in, let us drink first." Qin Xiang had already expected that Zhanshi would kill him to rob their goods. He had guessed that Zhanshi would fight with him and either release a Yin blade behind his back or use an array disc to attack him, but he never expected that Zhanshi would give him poison. Qin Xiang had already expected that Zhanshi would kill him to rob their goods. He had guessed that Zhanshi would fight with him and either release a Yin blade behind his back or use an array disc to attack him, but he never expected that Zhanshi would give him poison. Zhanshi walked over with a smile. Looking at his elegant appearance, he looked like an elegant scholar, and it was difficult to tell that he had a stomach full of evil tricks. He poured a big bowl of golden-colored fruit juice for Qin Xiang. When he just opened the bottle, Qin Xiang smelled a rich fragrance, causing him to uncontrollably swallow his saliva. "Good stuff," Qin Xiang immediately praised. At the same time he praised the juice. He was also praising Zhanshi's good methods. He actually thought of using this thing to poison others. Yuer sent a sound transmission to Qin Xiang. "This thing must be poisonous. Do you want to drink it or not?" Qin Xiang replied with a smile. "Of course I drink. I have profound strength, I want to see how strong this poison is." Zhanshi handed a big bowl of fruit juice to Qin Xiang and Qin Xiang hurriedly took it. After smelling the rich fragrance, he praised it and then took a big gulp to finish it. "Do you still have more?" "Delicious." Qin Xiang praised her as he handed the bowl over. Seeing Qin Xiang drink so heartily, Zhanshi also laughed happily. "Of course there is. This is a very precious thing, I used a special technique to refine it, and not just anyone can drink it." Otherwise, he wouldn't have said these words out loud. In order to let Qin Xiang be completely poisoned, he poured a bowl full of poison for Qin Xiang. Just like that, Qin Xiang burped after drinking 3 big bowls. Originally, Zhanshi did not plan to kill Qin Xiang on his own, because he was worried that the weakness would fall into the hands of the purple smoke divine mountain gods, and now that there was poison GRAS outside the crevice, he could tell the gods that Qin Xiang had been poisoned, and that he could take away the fruit tree and divine fruit. It was truly 2 birds with 1 stone. Qin Xiang suddenly frowned and shouted, "I-oh!" It was only when he really reacted that he cried out. He clutched his stomach and chest and shouted in shock, "What's going on? His stomach and chest are both stinging." This was the reaction of the poison. Qin Xiang was also secretly shocked in his heart that this poison could actually make him feel this way, and the poison was also spreading, but the anti-poison energy in his body was also quickly plussing out, enveloping all the poison. "When I entered earlier, I saw many poisonous GRAS, SES and poisonous thorns outside. Brother Shen might have ped into them before, but I have an antidote pill here. Brother Shen, hurry up and consume it to suppress the spread of the poison." Zhanshi looked anxious as he took out a black pill. Qin Xiang secretly admired this Zhanshi. He could tell that the pill here was a poisonous pill with just 1 look, and it was refined with several poisons at that. The poison was even more terrifying than those bowls of fruit juice. Qin Xiang immediately received it. He didn't even frown as he ate the poison pellet. After that, he closed his eyes and pretended to refine the poison pellet. Seeing Qin Xiang close his eyes, The corner of Zhanshi's mouth raised slightly, revealing a very pleased and treacherous smile. Then, he took out a jade box and carefully plucked the 10 over divine fruit. He was worried that Chen Xiang would say something, so he did not immediately put the divine fruit into the storage magic treasure, but continued to dig for the tree. This tree's value was the same as the divine fruit. Zhanshi was very careful when digging up trees. That degree of meticulousness surprised Chen Xiang. He actually did a very good job on this kind of meticulous work. He had to pay attention to the roots of these trees when digging up trees. It wouldn't hurt a single root, or else it would affect the growth of the fruit trees in the future. The place where this tree grew was entirely made of hard rock. The fruit tree had already dug into the rocks, and it would be difficult to dig it out without damaging its root. Just as Zhanshi finished, Chen Xiang immediately used the spatial extraction technique to retrieve the jade box that contained the profound illusion divine fruit. With his sudden movement, Zhanshi immediately noticed it. She was shocked and quickly said, "Brother Chen, don't move recklessly or the poison will spread." Chen Xiang laughed. "Thank you, Brother Zhan, for the antidote. I am much better now." After saying that, he waved his hand and the divine tree that had just been dug out disappeared. It had been taken away by Chen Xiang. "Thank you for your hard work, Brother Zhan." Zhanshi was stunned. He saw the smile on Chen Xiang's face, and it was as if he understood something. He finally realized that Chen Xiang had been pretending from the beginning. He had initially schemed against Chen Xiang, but he never expected that Chen Xiang had always been scheming against him. You weren't poisoned." When Zhanshi saw that Chen Xiang was completely fine, he didn't look like a person who had taken both his poisons. If it was a normal person, they would have already been poisoned to the point that their minds were muddled. "I was poisoned, but Brother Zhan gave me a precious antidote pill and saved my life." Chen Xiang continued to smile, and his smile became even more brilliant. Zhanshi frowned. He finally could not continue pretending and coldly said, "Humph, consider yourself powerful. Don't think that you are stronger than me just because you can play tricks. Let's see your true abilities right now." This time, Zhanshi had truly failed miserably, and it had even turned completely upside down. He was so angry that even the dregs would not come out, taking out a spear, releasing his killing intent. He immediately rushed towards Chen Xiang and stabbed it into Chen Xiang's throat. He suddenly pulled out his spear, causing blood to spurt out from Chen Xiang's throat and splatter all over his face. The blood was still warm, which made Zhanshi unable to believe it. Because this victory was too easy, it was almost impossible. Of course, Zhanshi was not that easy to obtain. He had only pierced the doppelganger Chen Xiang created using the 6 realms power. It could even condense fresh blood, thus it looked very real. And the real Chen Xiang was already outside the crevice. After Zhanshi realized that something was wrong, he immediately ran outside, but suddenly felt that his feet were being sucked in, and immediately activated the mysterious power inside the divine sense sea, wanting to break away from his body. But the more he used the mysterious power, the faster the mysterious power would escape from his feet. The killing array that Chen Xiang had set up had already started to activate, first locking down the target, then releasing the condensed 6 realms power through the array formation inside the 6 realms mirrors S, transforming into a terrifying form of power, attacking the target inside the array. The array was activated, and Zhanshi was unable to move at all. On the walls of the mountain crevice, countless 6 realms power S suddenly shot out from all directions. The first round of piercing did not manage to break Zhanshi's defense. The divine armor on his body was still very strong. However, she was unable to endure the second round anymore, and her body was immediately riddled with holes and turned into a bloody mess. Chen Xiang saw that it was enough and walked in. "Brother Zhan, I just came out to pee and you became like this? What's going on?" Chen Xiang said as he laughed. A hand was already pressing on top of Zhanshi's head. Although Zhanshi was looking at him viciously, he pretended not to see it. Zhanshi was very young, only a few decades old. Compared to an old fellow like Chen Xiang who had lived for thousands and thousands of years, he was really a little too young. You have no reason to harm me. She felt that Chen Xiang was searching his memories, and asked in shock. He couldn't understand why Chen Xiang would scheme against him like that. I'll send the Purple Smoke Divine Mountain guys over to accompany you later. When the time comes, you can ask them if I have a reason. His words and his smile made Shi feel as if he had fallen into a bottomless pit of despair. Tianhai flower. Tianhai flower. Shi had already given up all hope. He didn't have any chance now. He understood that since Chen Xiang knew he was this kind of person, then there was no way she could spare him. You must send them to me, she said coldly. There is something related to them in my memories, it might be useful to you. At this moment, Shi hated Chen Xiang very much, but he also hated those few Purple Smoke Divine Mountains Gods because they were the ones who were too careless back then, causing this kind of thing to be leaked out. Otherwise, he wouldn't have fallen into Chen Xiang's hands right now. Definitely. Chen Xiang immediately swallowed Shi's memories and took out his divine deity. Shi's divine soul had already been destroyed, and his body should not be burned by Chen Xiang either. He wanted to destroy the corpses and wipe out the evidence, as he had killed a relatively good young alchemist in the Supreme Divine Palace. From what he knew from Shi's memories, the gods of those Purple Smoke Divine Mountains were famous all over the place. They would specially inquire about the alchemists who often gathered divine medicines, and after finding them in the precious land of the divine medicines, they would secretly follow them. As long as they found any divine medicines, they would immediately jump out to snatch them. The last time they stole Xiao, they did not hide their ident. One time, so Xiao was able to immediately see through their Purple Smoke Divine Mountain. Other than that, Chen Xiang also knew that Shi often worked together with these robbers from the Purple Smoke Divine Mountain. Because Shi was very deceitful, he stayed in the alchemist circle very well. Furthermore, Shi and this bandit God had also discovered a few divine medicines, and those places were all extremely secretive. When the divine medicines matured, they would gather together and then go harvest them together. And now, there was a place in this treasure land where the divine medicine was about to mature, and that was a Shangpin medicine. Shi did not know what kind of divine medicine it was. He only knew that it was an ancient divine medicine from the mouths of those bandits, but it was very precious. Chen Xiang estimated the time. There was still some time before the divine medicine would mature, so he immediately rushed over. The route in Shi's memories was extremely detailed. He had to hurry in order to harvest it before the purple-clothed bandits did. Chen Xiang told Yue about the flower's appearance. Although Yue didn't refine pills, she was an expert in this field, and even though this little guy often pretended to be cute and win over girls, she was definitely an old demonic cat. After Yue heard Chen Xiang's description, she said, "This kind of flower is called the Tianhai flower. After eating it, it can increase the power of the divine sense C by a little. Of course, the main purpose of this flower is not to eat, but to store the power of the divine sense C. Your 6 realms power should be able to be stored in this kind of Tianhai flower as well. If you don't normally need it, you can store it inside, and when you rest during the night, you can replenish it. When you continue to store the 6 realms power, eating this kind of flower will allow you to immediately obtain the 6 realms power that you stored in the flower." After Chen Xiang heard it, he felt that it was a little familiar. He frowned and said, "This effect is the same as the divine sense C pellet. The divine sense C pellet is a Shangpin Dan. The divine sense C pill formula was chosen by Feng Yujie when she said the intermediate alchemy Gods assessment, or was it chosen for her by Chen Xiang? It was just that he did not know the formula, and because he could not refine the Shangpin Dan back then, he did not ask Feng Yujie. "Tell me, What is the use of the divine sense C pill? This Tianhai flower only has a limited amount of divine sense C's power. Yuer said. Chen Xiang told Yuer about the effects of the divine sense C pellet. Yuer said, "The divine sense C pellet that you mentioned is able to contain the power of one of the 9 soul heavenly gods. It is many times stronger than a Tianhai flower, and it cannot hold much. This Tianhai flower should be one of the ingredients to concoct the divine sense C pellet without fail." Since this was the divine medicine that he needed, Chen Xiang wanted to obtain it even more. He was initially running wildly in the forest, but right now he was using the power of teleportation to rush to a cave. He traveled through the night. 2 days later, he was far away from Gra's Wood Elves village. He arrived at a small mountain and circled around it to look for the entrance to the cave. This cave was already covered up by Zhan Shi and the violet-clothed bandit, and had even set up restrictions. It was to prevent people from discovering it, and to wait for the Tianhai flower to mature naturally. They could go and harvest it. If you don't have a special ability to maintain this kind of wild medicine, you can never pick it before it has ripened, or else it will be hard to maintain the best quality if you go to other places to cultivate it. So if you find a divine medicine, you won't be in a hurry to pick it unless you have no other choice. The divine medicine treasured land had a different kind of nourishment compared to other places. The divine medicine here naturally grew at a rate of 10 to 100 times faster than other places. Legend has it that even some divine nations would send people here to search for rare divine medicine. Chen Xiang originally did not understand much about this treasure land, but after he devoured some of Zhan Shi's memories, he found out that this treasure land was extremely special and magical. Even though this place should be very small at the border between the 6 realms and the sovereign realm, but for some reason, this place gave birth to AC, causing the entire treasure land to continuously expand for a long time. I've found it. Those guys aren't here yet. I have to hurry up and make a move. Chen Xiang discovered the mark of the restriction and immediately teleported, south through that place and entering the cave. Chen Xiang originally thought that after entering the sage, it would be very dark, but he never expected that the entire sage would be filled with green light, and these strong green light rays were somewhat glaring. He was inside the sage, and when he looked forward, he discovered that the light had come from the end of the sage. The source of the light was emitting an even more piercing green light, and he could not see what it was. If it matures, it will not emit this strong light. This kind of flower is rather special, and it also has a certain spirit. He only emits light to protect himself because he sensed someone approaching him, and if he matures, he can burrow into the ground by himself. But there should already be a barrier placed around this place to prevent the Shangpin medicine from escaping. Yuer said, "If you pick it now, it might affect your future quality. As for this flower, it should be maturing soon." Chen Xiang took out a jade bottle. Inside it was the spirit liquid he condensed. Whenever he wasn't with Feng Yujie, he would cultivate this kind of spirit liquid like the alive slain method. "Then I'll let him mature." Chen Xiang laughed and walked towards the bright light. When they approached the Tianhai flower, the originally green light had instantly turned blood red, looking extremely frightening. At this moment, the entire cave was covered in a bloody light, and there was even a thick smell of blood, as if warning Chen Xiang that if he went any closer, there would be a disaster that would appear. When they approached the Tianhai flower, the originally green light had instantly turned blood red, looking extremely frightening. At this moment, the entire cave was covered in a bloody light, and there was even a thick smell of blood, as if warning Chen Xiang that if he went any closer, there would be a disaster that would appear. But Chen Xiang was very clear that this Tianhai flower was only scary, it did not have any power at all. "Little guy, I'll make you grow up faster." Chen Xiang grinned as he squatted down. Then, he poured out all the spirit liquid from the jade bottle and dripped it onto the exquisite sky sea. The Tianhai flower was very small, it was only 6 inches tall, the size of its palm, its leaves and stems were all transparent. Even though the flower was also transparent, it had a very strange power that could emit different colored clouds of light, and it was also very strong. After Chen Xiang dripped the spirit liquid, the Tianhai flower suddenly grew taller, and the flower also grew larger. It was as big as a palm, and it started to emit a strong blood light, but now it had dimmed down, and the entire flower was transparent, as though it was carved out of crystal. It was extremely beautiful. What's this? Yue was a little curious about the spirit liquid in Chen Xiang's hands. Of course she could tell that this spirit liquid had a strong ability to accelerate maturity. I used the alive slain method to cultivate it, but it's not the best. Chen Xiang laughed. The most powerful thing was that he and the woman had dual cultivated alive slain method S and condensed spirit orbs. Even if it was just kissing, it would be much stronger than the spirit liquid that he condensed himself. The alive slain method in the heaven-earth killing method, is it? This delay skill is also a mysterious skill, Yue said, sticking out her small head, looking at the crystal-like Tianhai flower, and lightly laughed. What a pity, this isn't something delicious. It's fully matured. When Chen Xiang saw the Tianhai flower move, his hand shot out like lightning and grabbed onto the stem of the flower. Then, he quickly dug out the root and sealed it in a jade box. Just as he was about to pluck it, a sound came from outside the cave. There's someone here, and judging from this aura, it should be those violet-clothed bandits. Yue replied, What do you plan to do? Chen Xiang allowed his divine soul to travel through S.P. A.C. to check around, and discovered that there was only one purple-clothed man. He was currently removing the restriction, and the restriction they had set up had taken a lot of effort. It was not easy to remove, and would take some time. There's only one. Let's do it. Chen Xiang took out the 6 realms mirrors and started to lay down the killing array. After doing all of this, he hid in a corner of the cave wall and waited for the purple-clothed man to come in. This guy should have come by himself. These violet-clothed bandits aren't that united. Chen Xiang sent a sound transmission to Yue as he smiled. If that's the case, why did they still give 50 million to Zhan Shi to trick you out of it and kill you? Yue had some doubts. For them to be able to spend so many Shin Yuan stones just to avenge their comrades, it seemed that they had a good relations. Hi+P with each other. From Zhan Shi's memories, Chen Xiang understood that the relations Hi+P between these violet-clothed bandits was indeed not very good, and they often fought for a little benefit, and the fact that they were willing to pay 50 million Shin Yuan stone to avenge their dead comrades really did not make sense. The killing array had already been set up, and when the man in purple saw the exquisite Tianhai flower, he could not help but be ecstatic. He quickly walked over, because he did not expect that the Tianhai flower would have matured so early. After getting rid of the blame, just blame it on Zhan Shi, the brat, for him to cooperate with us for so long and earn a lot. It's time for him to return the blame. The moment the purple-clothed man stepped into the killing array, Chen Xiang immediately activated it. This time, he used the killing array with all his might. Because the purple-clothed man was from upper heavenly God, his strength was much stronger than Zhan Shi's. He was even a bit worried that his killing array wouldn't be able to stop the purple-clothed man. The killing formation activated, and from the very beginning, it locked the purple-clothed man in place. His legs could not move, and at the same time, it also quickly absorbed the divine power within his body. The purple-clothed man sensed that something was wrong and shouted loudly. The divine power in his body surged out and he actually lifted a leg. So powerful! Chen Xiang felt the 6 realms power inside the 6 realms mirrors quickly disappearing. Terrified, he took out the God slaughtering sword and immediately used the God murdering sword technique. Sensing the terrifying God killing sword, the purple-clothed man immediately exclaimed, God murdering sword techniques Chen Xiang. The time inside the God murdering sword techniques made Chen Xiang's time speed up, thus his speed of drawing the sword was many times faster. Just as the purple-robed man shouted out, his body had already been pierced by dozens of swords, all of them aimed at his vital points. How do you know I'm Chen Xiang? Chen Xiang thought it was strange. His appearance had already changed before. He shouldn't be able to recognize this purple-clothed man. After the purple-clothed man had been struck by Chen Xiang's God murdering sword techniques, the God slaughtering sword's energy entered his body and had already caused him a great deal of harm. And because Chen Xiang was worried that the purple-clothed man would retaliate against him before he died, she had even stabbed a sword into his divine sense, causing the purple-clothed man's divine soul to suffer a heavy injury. Only you know. The purple-clothed man had not finished speaking when Chen Xiang saw a streak of golden light suddenly flash out. It was a vile person, and it was the purple-clothed man's divine soul. If divine sense and his flesh were to suffer heavy losses, his divine soul could escape and he could quickly be reborn. However, Chen Xiang basically did not give him this kind of opportunity. He grabbed at the air, broke through the SPAC, and directly grabbed onto the divine soul. The main reason why he used the soul-absorbing devil spell was because he wanted to use it on the divine soul. Now that he had the divine soul in his hands, it was easier for him to use the soul-absorbing devil spell. Thus, he easily found some information he wanted to know from this purple-robed man. Not long ago, he and Yuer had been wondering why these purple-clothed bandits would be willing to pay 50 million Xin yuan stone for Zhan Shi to lure him out and kill him. So you are here for my God murdering sword techniques and heavenly alchemy. That means the purple smoke divine mountain also has people inside. They got the news about me from an elder. Chen Xiang found a divine deity from the man's divine sense. The purple-clothed man had hidden his divine deity very well. He was a upper heavenly God and he had at least 3 divine deities, but Chen Xiang could only find one. This guy had originally been deceived by Zhan Shi once, so in order to take revenge, he didn't care if Zhan Shi would lure me out in the future or not. He just wanted to use this matter to slander Zhan Shi, and then take all the Tianhai flower for himself. Chen Xiang burned the purple-clothed man's body, leaving behind a bit of Zhan Shi's aura. The storage magic treasure like Zhan Shi would usually hide in the divine sense. Even if they devoured their memories, they wouldn't know where they were hiding. When they were storing the storage magic treasure and divine deity, they didn't leave behind any memories, and summoned them out as they pleased. Chen Xiang finished off Zhan Shi and a purple-clothed man, and even obtained a Tianhai flower. His harvest was very rich, which caused him to happily hum a small tune in the mountain forest, skipping and walking around. Chen Xiang finished off Zhan Shi and a purple-clothed man, and even obtained a Tianhai flower. His harvest was very rich, which caused him to happily hum a small tune in the mountain forest, skipping and walking around. On the other hand, Yuer was resting inside her bag. If she sensed anything, she would wake up. Chen Xiang picked a wild flower and sucked the sweet juice from the flower. Then, he gently shook the flower off and used his finger to release a burst of energy to scatter the flower and cause the petals to fall. This would allow the flower to be sowed and grow even more in the forest in the future. A few of the petals slowly became beautiful, and just as they were about to land on the ground, a gentle breeze suddenly blew into the forest. The petals that were about to fall to the ground were blown up by the wind. The strange thing was, after these petals were blown away, they actually clashed against each other. At first, Chen Xiang thought it was a coincidence, but the next scene he saw made him feel like he was facing a great enemy. A few petals were suddenly blown together by the light breeze, and at the moment of collision, they actually produced faint traces of white light. The petals that were initially scattered by Chen Xiang actually merged together and became beautiful flowers again. This was definitely not a coincidence. Rather, it was caused by a very powerful force. Who is it? Chen Xiang stopped in his tracks and shouted loudly. This guy is very strong. It seems like he has been following you for a long time. Yue hurriedly stuck her head out from her backpack and looked around, her voice also becoming more serious. Knowing that he had been followed, Chen Xiang felt a chill down his spine. If that was the case, then wouldn't he have been the one to let the purple-clothed man off the hook? Chen Xiang turned around and looked behind him. At this time, he only felt the wind grow stronger, and just as he was about to continue walking forward, he suddenly saw a man with long hair standing in front of him. This almost made Chen Xiang scream out in shock. He had used his spatial perception just now, but he still did not notice this man. Even when he closed his eyes, he could not feel that this man was right in front of him. Even if it was a god, he wouldn't feel such terror. The man in white had a very handsome face, and his eyebrows were meticulously trimmed. The hand holding the bamboo flute was very long, and his nails were carefully trimmed. He seemed to care even more about these things than the women. Chen Xiang, on the other hand, was tall and strdy. His clothes were tattered, his hair was messy, there was even some mud under his nails, the bottom of his pants were rolled up to reveal his extremely dense leg hair, and although he was handsome, his unkempt personality prevented his handsome face from appearing. Chen Xiang and the white-clothed man in front of him were like two polar opposites. Who are you and why are you following me? Chen Xiang asked with a frown and a vigilant expression. He had already taken out the god slaughtering sword. The man in white smiled. His smile was very charming and his voice was filled with a strange charm. I didn't follow you. I've been in this place for quite a while. I only came to take a look after noticing that someone has entered this place. Sunlight shone through the gaps in the treetops, causing beams of light to fall from the trees. The man in white waved his hand, and a gentle breeze blew, causing the flower to float in the wind and land in his palm. I'm so sorry to bother you. Chen Xiang cupped his fist and turned to leave. Before he had taken a few steps, the white-clothed man suddenly appeared in front of him. I just want to ask, were you the one who used the god murdering sword techniques? The white-clothed man asked. I was attracted by your terrifying god killing sword. This man in white was very strong. Chen Xiang was not able to see his strength, and only felt that this man in white was capable of killing him at any time. Yes, Chen Xiang replied. Where did you get it? With a gentle blow of his white robe, the flower in his palm floated away with the wind. It was unknown where he had drifted to. From his appearance, it seemed that he doted on these flowers. A senior sister Pius said down the god murdering sword techniques to me, and this senior sister's father Pius said down the god murdering sword techniques to him. As for how his father obtained it, I don't know. Chen Xiang spoke the truth. Oh, it won't be easy to cultivate this god murdering sword techniques, especially one with a god killing sword at your level. As far as I know, the first thing you need to do is to have the god slaughtering bloodline, but you obviously don't. The white-clothed man spoke indifferently, but his eyes were staring straight at Chen Xiang. Chen Xiang immediately felt a great pressure pressing down on him. His back was covered with cold sweat. I'm not too sure either. This might have something to do with the divine deity that I fused with before. Chen Xiang had already determined that the divine deity he had fused with should have belonged to that whatever sixth Daos divine monarch. It was said that he was the son of the sixth Daos divine king and was a legendary figure in the Six Realms divine palace. After the white-clothed man heard this, he slightly frowned. After pondering for a moment, he no longer pursued the matter of the murdering sword techniques and asked about another matter instead. Are the star and crescent beast in your bag? Yue stuck her head out. I am a star and crescent beast, do you want to eat me? Chen Xiang was startled, but Yue had an impatient tone when she asked that. It seemed like she had some understanding of the man in white, and even asked him, Do you want to eat me? The white-clothed man smiled. Why do you want to know if I want to eat you? Don't tell me I look like someone who specializes in eating star and crescent beast. Yue snorted lightly. Your Divine Wind Valley has always had this kind of tradition. As far as I know, most of our star and crescent beast were captured by your Divine Wind Valley. In Divine Wind Valley, Chen Xiang suddenly understood that this man had always been using wind power, so this Divine Wind Valley should be one of the powers in Super God realm. I am from the Divine Wind Valley, not bad, but I have been separated from the Divine Wind Valley for many years. Now I am from the Six Realms Divine Palace. The white-clothed man smiled. Moreover, the Divine Wind Valley that you mentioned is from many years ago. The current Divine Wind Valley doesn't eat star and crescent beast anymore, nor do they dare to eat star and crescent beast. Humph. Yue was still very unhappy. What kind of background do you have? As far as I know, Six Realms Divine Palace doesn't have a person like you. The white-clothed man laughed. My name is Xiao Chang'e. Although I have joined the Six Realms Divine Palace, I have rarely shown my face. I have been training in this treasured land all year round. Chen Xiang replied. If Senior doesn't have anything else, then I'll be leaving first. I still have to rush back, okay? This land had a strange power, so it was normal for Xiao Chang'e to be hiding here to cultivate. Now, Chen Xiang just wanted to return to the Supreme Divine Palace and leave this mysterious expert behind, even though this person had no ill intentions towards him. You must be from the Supreme Divine Palace? Xiao Chang'e asked with a smile. Yes. Chen Xiang didn't think that he would be seen through so easily. He didn't have the characteristics of a Supreme Divine Palace. I will be going to the Supreme Divine Palace soon. I think you should be from there, otherwise, you wouldn't have collected such a precious medicine. I didn't expect that there would be a little kid like you in the Dan Hall. Xiao Chang'e chuckled. You can go back first, I think we won't be seeing each other for long. New quick text.